cold opening. Welcome to my cough. It's the second to last episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that. Welcome to the VidGames Podcast, where we nerd out on shit. It started as just video games, and then we opened it up to the TV shows and the movies and the such.
And it really didn't go on for very long, but hey.
Well, no, I mean, technically it went on for a couple years, but we've only done, this is the 29th episode. So as you can see, I want to round it out nice and big, big 30. Speaking of Big 30, that's the name of the current run of the Bandicoot, which is the Crash theme podcast I do on Destination Mark, which will still be going on even when this one ends. Because Crash's 30th is this year. Good segue. Today's episode's about Crash. This is a... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just say if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail or anything like that.
Obviously,
it's about this rat in pants.
This orange fox in jeans, as Nathan Drake says. Yeah, we haven't talked about Crash in a while, in the sense that, we did a Spyro episode with Miharu very early on, but with Crash, I'm trying to, I don't know why I'm trying to do this. I should just say fuck it and not care about what anyone says to me about shit, but, I feel like what can I say that hasn't been said already? That I haven't said already about Crash? This is more just a very quick recap, I guess, because I'm also doing a retrospective on the whole series, so we're going to be talking about all the games. Here we're going to segment this out, but I'll get to that in a second. I shouldn't be listening to fucking peer stuff or whatever, but taking whatever into consideration of well, you talk about Crash a lot, yeah, and everyone else talks about other franchises too, and no one gives them shit. So
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say if other people can geek out about what they like, then you should have your right to geek out about Crash. Because I fucking,
the reason why this one has come out this far in is because I've been trying to kind of avoid talking about Crash so early, because everything I do starts with Crash. Over on Destination Mark, Draw Jam, which is where we just draw characters. The second episode was Crash. 1-1, where I talked about the first world levels in games to see how good of an intro level it is. A little video game level analysis little show started with Crash. So I always start with Crash. So we wanted to give other stuff like Banjo and Shantae and Smash, it's their time to shine with their episodes before I eventually got to Crash. I mean, Crash was not going to skip the podcast. I do want to obviously talk about it. Yeah. It's hard to with Chase and Wes and them, because they barely have any experience with Crash. I mean, we just finished Crash 4 a couple months ago with Chase. So that was pretty funny to watch him struggle through Crash 4. But I mean, Wes also did CTR here on the channel, the OG CTR. We had Chase play through the story mode of Nitro Field, which was fun. And then I also found out around that time that Wes actually did beat a Crash game. It was Titan's DS, and I'm like, of all games, of all versions of a game, why Titan's DS? But I digress. Today we're going to talk about the different, like I said, kind of eras, I suppose. That's usually how I describe them, in eras. And then what I do personally is I describe everything from Crash 1 to Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 3D, those 2010 mobile games. That's all what I call before the hiatus of that 6-year gap. So pre-hiatus, and then from Insane to Rumble, that's or technically if you want to get technical, Skylanders to Imaginators to Rumble, that would be the post-hiatus, because it's the revival and Crash came back. So we'll just take it kind of, we'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek, I suppose. We'll structure this in the way that I plan to kind of structure my series retrospective that's going to be coming out in September. So I guess what we'll do, if you've already been following me for a while, you should know this story. I'll also again, reiterate it just a little in that retrospective video. But I guess we just talk about how we grew up with Crash first, which, as long as as I can remember breathing and holding a controller in my little gremlin hands, I remember playing Crash. Literally, that's what I remember. It's my first memories.
Yeah, I've probably played the older games. For me, I probably have played the older games, like the original trilogy at least. But I don't have any. I probably said this before. I don't remember, but to say it here, I don't have any recollection of when I was a baby, like at all. So, if anyone if you told me, oh, you played Crash 1, I would probably believe you because I don't remember those times at all. But there is a picture that we have of it was me and Grandpa, and I was playing on the PS1, and while I was sitting on him, but I don't know what I was playing, but in the picture it's me with the controller, but
yeah, I don't know what that could have been.
In terms of what I can remember, my first Crash game is, it'd have to be either like Wrath of Cortex or something.
I was gonna say, like, I would not be surprised.
It had to be like the weird ones that people don't like, or whatever the case. Like, it had to be like those games, especially Tag Team and
Nitro Kart.
Yeah, Nitro Kart. Like, those are the ones I remember those more.
We played those together a lot.
Yeah,
back then.
But that says like far back as I can remember with those games.
Yeah, you have to remember that Vic and I are 5 years apart. Yeah. So I was born 95, he was born 2000. The turn of the millennium, the next century or whatever, I don't know what I'm saying. So yeah, Vic's earliest memories tend to be around the PS2 era.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure, you could have probably played the PS1 games on PS2 when we found out you could do that. Because,
well, I'd say that my earliest memories of just gaming in general stem from GameCube and PS2. Yeah. Like, both of those.
Because that's probably when you started to remember. That's probably how far back you can remember.
Yes, because like I said, like, I think literally my earliest memory is when we got the GameCube, and that's it. Like, that's kind of like where it begins. That's at least in terms of. I mean, that's wild. That's like the gaming journey.
That's wild, considering you can't remember any further back. But I do remember when you were a baby.
Yeah, I don't.
Again, that's the weird like time gap of like how I'm older by a couple years, and like. God, see, that's why I wish we could find those, like, not to go on a tangent, but that's why I wish we could find a fresh battery. I say fresh, I mean, this thing is like over 30 years old, but like a good battery for like our old camcorder, our big old Sony camcorder, and like find those little tapes that we recorded on, because not only was it us doing stupid shit like in our backyard playing, and me doing recreations of Spy Kids 3D scenes, like reenacting them, but also, like, we just had, like, home movies, you know? So it was, I would just film shit. And Grandpa was still alive around that time, too. So that's how you know it was a long time ago. And, I mean, I have a very specific odd memory of, like, recording, like, one of either Mom's or Grandpa's car in the they must have been washing it or had just washed it or something, where I was getting ready to wash it because it was up on the lawn. Mm-hmm. And I can hear you. I remember I had this memory. I have this memory of when I recorded it. In fact, I think I remember recording it too. But we can hear you in the background crying because you were a little baby, or playing or doing something. But that's how. Point being, sorry. That as far as we can remember, we've been playing Crash and stuff. Mm-hmm. Of course, Spyro, Tekken, Pac-Man World, all the PS1 stuff. Space Invaders, Frogger. So I've said this numerous times across, my years of being on YouTube. It's never going to change. That was our childhood. But Crash was like one of the earliest things I can remember, and it was the first game. So we literally grew up with a legend right then and there.
Yeah, essentially whatever it was that you grew up with, I essentially grew up with, but...
Sometimes it was a little later. Sometimes it was like the newest game at that time, but then you could also go back and play the older stuff. Meanwhile, I grew up with the stuff as it came out.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I say that Crash is glued to me at the hip, I fucking mean that shit. Like, my identity is this video game. I love that fucking rat.
You essentially
I love that man.
You essentially owe your life to this foxy genius.
I mean, you know what? I kind of do, because if it wasn't for Crash and then if it wasn't for Spyro, I wouldn't have met Miharu, and I wouldn't have done all these things. I wouldn't have, there's a lot. I mean, I wouldn't have probably gone on YouTube in the same way and joined YouTube in the same way that I have, because, again, I talked about it really briefly in the Twinsanity retrospective I did on Destination Mark. My first YouTube video I ever saw was this little cut storyboard scene from Twinsanity that Paul Gardner, as under the name Fake Nina, put up on YouTube. So that was like one of the first things. That was like the first YouTube video I ever saw. So yeah, Crash every so often influenced little things in my life here and there.
You know, I do. Also, I do remember. I remember in terms of YouTube videos like that, I remember watching a Crash video that was footage of like the cutscenes, I think, of Titans, and it was set to like it was either an edit or it was some kind
little
of
YTP-esque like little
it was
or like little MVs.
Yeah, I think it was like an MV of like where the song was more bounce to the end.
Yeah, Zap and Roger. Yeah, that was. I can't find that on YouTube anymore. I'm not sure if I'm not typing in the right thing to find it, or if it's privated, or if it's just gone.
Yeah.
But or unlisted. God, why is my throat so disgusting today? Or it might be unlisted. But yeah, that's how we got into Zapp and Roger. Because I showed my mom that song because I liked it, and she's like, "I've got that album. That's Zapp and Roger." So that's, to make a long story short, because we could go on that alone. That's basically how we got into Crash. As in, it was always there.
Yeah.
For us, and for me specifically. So I'm gonna do it again. God, what the fuck is wrong with my throat? Okay, Crash 1. We're not gonna go through all the games, but we're gonna do like the PS1 era. For starters,
like the original trilogy.
The original trilogy, CTR, and Bash, because we were talking about this not that long ago too, regarding Crash. So the first 3 games are an evolution. I mean, we all know the story, and if you need a recap for any reason, here's a very brief recap. Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin got a 3 game contract after Way of the Warrior with Universal Studios, Universal Interactive specifically. Mark Cerny, I think, made that deal with them and got them on the Universal Studios backlot, and we took the tour.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And that was like a wild moment for me, because even though I don't know exactly where the building was, or if it was even still there intact the way it was all the way back in the 90s, or how it looked, I don't know, because we went along the traditional tour path, but we went through the backlot. So in just generally being in that area, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh fuck, this is where Insomniac and Naughty Dog were. Like, we are going through where they made Crash and Spyro. I was like, I had this like super like, it was subtle because no one else around us would have, no one would know that shit. But of course, I'm like geeking the fuck out internally. I'm like, oh my god, this is where legends were born.
I was about to say, yeah, this is where champions were made.
It was so sick. My god, that was definitely, I think, a bucket a bucket list thing that I didn't have on that actual list. Not that I actually have my bucket list written down, but like what I do have, not physically written, but like in my mind, one I do have is I want to talk or meet Jason Rubin, which I almost had the chance to. I did see him in person at the E3 Coliseum thing 2017 when Ensign was coming out, and they did the little panel. So I was in the crowd for that. People keep thinking, because the guy in the Crash suit crashed the panel and sat in the audience, and my friends kept thinking that there's this dude that's like kind of in the shot when Crash is sitting with everyone else down in the bottom. They thought it was me, because that dude kind of looks like me, like the buzzed head and like kind of a bit of a beard happening. He looked, I don't know, Mexican, brown, I don't know. People thought it was me, and I'm like, no, I was there, but I was up in the top.
Mm.
I remember sticking around for a Mortal Kombat panel. I think after that, because Ed Boon showed up, but that was either before or after, yeah, Crash.
Oh,
But
yeah, I remember that.
but with Crash, yeah, no, I was like, I've got video. I'm not gonna post it in the podcast, but I do have video of me there, and I was up higher, like kind of near like the nosebleed section, I guess you could say. I was higher up. I was in the upper part. Um, and then E3 2019 when you went, it was you, me, and Gianni. Fucking like I didn't put it in two and two together that I even went into the Beat Saber like so Oculus was there, so Oculus Rift. Uh, I don't know if he still does to this day, but Jason Rubin was working at Oculus around that time, so he was there, and he visited the Nitro Field little booth.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we weren't there. I was like, fuck! If I was there around the time, now I don't know if he went around when people were starting to leave or whatever. It looked like it was still kind of full, like it was during like the normal hours when we were all walking around. But could have fucking met him, could have run into him, and fuck, so close. But yeah, that's a bucket list thing for sure. Wanting to meet Jason Rubin, but yeah, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. Unintended, I guess, bucket list thing, but it was cool that it happened, was being able to do that backlot tour and being like, oh shit, I'm near the area where like some 20 odd years ago they fucking made Crash and Spyro. But so that all happened. Sorry, again, tangent. Fuck, we are so unfocused in this episode. I am. Well, I'll speak for myself.
I'm just letting you speak because I don't want to.
I'm sorry, man. Listen, I will shut up.
No, it's fine.
Later,
just, you know.
so you can get your piece in.
I'm letting you get your spiel out, so that way you can.
Fuck, I just feel like I'm rambling into the void. So, okay, backstory. Who the fuck cares? Crash 1's awesome. I don't care what anyone says, and I feel like I am simultaneously the right and the wrong person to talk about Crash 1 specifically with, because it was my first ever video game, so I know it basically front to back. The only real things to this day I don't fully 100% have memorized in my head are exactly which, I have a couple I do know, but exactly in order or whatever, like which levels house the color gems. Like Toxic Waste is the blue one, I think Slippery Climb's the red one, so I know a couple of them, but like if you were to like hold me to gunpoint and be like, tell me all of them now, and I'd be like, listen, let me think first. I can't just spew that info out. So I'm a big fan of the first game. I'm not that crazy, but you know, I can't speedrun the game or anything like that. I can formal speedwalk it, but I can't speedrun it. But I don't know. Like I just because I happen even trying to take as much of the bias out as humanly possible, it's still a fun game. Everyone has to understand it's a fucking early 3D platformer. You know, it helped define what 3D platformers could be for a very specific style of platformer. Mario did the open world thing and the wide open areas, which Spyro and Banjo, I feel, perfected it. But as far as, like, again, they wanted to turn something like DKC or Sonic into something fully 3D. That was their goal. And not only just do side-scrollers, because some levels are purely side-scrolling, but there are still most other levels, the quote-unquote gimmick, they plastered this all over the cover and the manual of the first game is, it's a 3D game, it's a full 3D game, because that was a new concept at the time. And especially for PlayStation, they hadn't seen, at that point, we were getting, like, Resident Evil, and fucking what else was in, like, full 3D. Even then, Resident Evil's not even in full 3D. But, with Crash, like, everything is. There's a couple things that aren't, like the Wumpa Fruit or, you know, like fake 3D because it's like a sprite or whatever. Yeah, but, point being, the gameplay is all in 3D. And so, you can still toy with, like, the 3D space even if you are doing, like, the side-scrolling bits. But they wanted to utilize all the directions of, like, traveling upwards, which would be, like, Slippery Climb, traveling downwards, going left to right, and in and out of the screen. Because most levels you're going towards or away from the camera, and then sometimes you got your boulder chase levels where you're coming towards the camera. And I don't know. Yes, I died a lot as a kid, obviously. I'm still trying to... I was still trying to figure out how the controls worked and everything, but like I was patient enough as a kid at that time to actually get the hang of it. So, and because there were no other games like Crash I had ever played around that time to compare it to, like I was able to go into Crash with an open mind. I was, a small child. It was my first video game. There was nothing. My brain dead. Brain still developing. Brain very much taking in information and learning. So, like a small little computer, I was just gathering input information and being like, okay, this is how you do this. And I figured it out. And even when I ended up finding out about cheats, and being able to put like the super cheats in and stuff with the passwords and figuring out like, oh, I guess I can jump to this level I couldn't even get to when I was like, like a year ago, but now I can get to this level and I can try it out. And like being able to kind of hop around was really cool. And then eventually, like, I don't even know when it was, but my first run, going from the beginning of the game to the end of the game and actually being able to get through the levels, like, was fucking euphoric. Because I was taking everything I learned, whether I was actually cheating through it, just to like poke around and play other levels I couldn't get to, and then eventually when I was able to collect the stuff to get to like unlocking the bonus levels or whatever, and doing stuff like that, it's a lot of fun. Obviously, it's a more slower pace. It was the first game of its time, the first Crash game, period. So there is no real formula yet. So they're trying to like figure out how they want everything to kind of... They're trying to figure everything out, obviously. And two, at the time, Naughty Dog was really small. Like, really small. Like, barely 10 people. So, and that was still even kind of a well-ish sized team for that time. I mean, to have, like, some 30 people was already, like... You were considered pretty big, I guess, as a company if you were a dev team that was, like, 30-plus people. But they were only, like, 8 or 10. With some outside help, obviously, with, like, Charles and Billis, Joe Pearson, Mark Cerny helping with stuff, and then Josh Mansell doing the music. So it was more than 10, but like Naughty Dog themselves were like 8 to 10 people.
And making something like the first game is like interesting. It's an interesting thing because it's like a very small group of people made this game that eventually became this thing, and people liked it and whatnot, and for how simplistic it was and stuff. And when it got to the later and then as the games were coming out, they essentially just kind of perfected what they made, and like taking what they made for Crash 1 then just started to perfect it more and more and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that the first game is very interesting in that aspect. Like I also do like the first game, but like I wouldn't put it as my favorite, but I do like it.
Yeah.
But
knowing all the other games that come after,
yeah,
and having so many more to choose from, to be like, well, you could do this in it, and then this one has these characters, which those guys are my favorite. So obviously people aren't. Even if you're fair in judging the first game, I still would not put anything past anyone to say it's not their favorite. If they said that, I would totally like understand. I just find so many... The more I've been learning in these last some 10, 15 years, a little kind of plus, about game design and just this and that, and like taking like, little design philosophies or cues from different things or doing whatever, and learning all this geeky shit, like I see like how like what their vision was now, of like, okay, so they wanted the progression feels natural, the world feels very lived in. It's wacky and silly and cartoony, so it's not necessarily realistic, obviously, but like you could very much in a what's the word I'm looking for, like realistic sense, not... It's hard to describe. You could... Logically is what I meant to say. There you go. Logically, you could see, like, okay, it's these islands off the coast of fucking Australia, whatever, and, like, this island is more focused on, like, the tribal area, and it's the farthest that Cortex hasn't touched yet, so, like, there isn't any influence of, like, these labs and these, like, factories and stuff. It's just pure... You're in the jungle, you're in, all this stuff, and it's got some rocky little bits and little ruins, and the tribesmen live there, and Papu lives there and stuff, and... there's all that. And then you go to the second island, and it's like, okay, so there's a little bit more trepidation here. Now we've got like uh more ruinous areas and like stuff and perilous bridges across places to get further in. And as you're going along, there are certain levels where you can see every so often they want to remind you you're getting closer to Cortex's castle because you can see it in the background.
Cortex Island.
Yeah, and like the further into the levels you go, every time you see that as part of it's all painted in the backdrop, it gets closer. They made it a thing to make it inch ever so closer, which is so fucking sick. Again, like for a game in '96, it's their first fucking platformer to have that much detail and that much like foresight is awesome.
And we'll get to it later, but I do like the detail of showing Cortex's castle in Crash 4.
Yeah.
But
it felt like kind of a throwback to that in a way.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, you're getting close to
Yeah.
this level, to this place, this familiar place or whatnot. So it's just like, I think it's really cool. But yeah, I did like how the progression of one where it's like how you're saying, it's the beginning area is more tropical, more tribal and stuff, and then the second island is ruins and streams and other things like that, like rivers and stuff, and then the last island on where you're about to go and face Cortex, it's like very industrial, very like toxic and things like that. And even just seeing it from just looking at the islands on the map, like looks really cool, especially when you can see some like during the transitions when you can see the other islands in the background and stuff like that. Like I found that really cool how dynamic it was with stuff like that.
I mean, Cortex Power is the moment you leave the familiar, like the jungles and the ruins, and you're going through the factories and stuff. And the order is a little borked, the final order of the levels, because that was something that changed rapidly throughout the first game's development. Because I also played the prototype that got released some odd couple years ago. And, in learning the development behind the game and that structure, them trying to find how to make it work and everything, level orders were changing around like a lot. Like there was like a fucking ruins level in like the first island, there was like a factory level or something on the second island, so like there was a lot of weird stuff until they eventually came to the order that we have now, except that even that wasn't technically supposed to be the final order, because I highlight Cortex Power specifically because that was the intention, that's Crash getting up to like, okay, this is where the third island introduces all of the factory-like stuff, the power plants, until you get into the castle proper with levels like Lights Out and everything. But like Cortex Power is like the second or third level of that island, and like the first level is, I think, Heavy Machinery, where you're already in one of the factories. So it doesn't make too much, if you think about it like that. It's not, there's still a little bit that's like kind of weird, but it's super subtle. But other than little weird things like that, like the natural progression is very noticeable, and it's something I will always highlight about Crash 1 because I love it so much that, like, I talked about it a little bit with Jerry on Reignited recently, which is wild to say as well, that we're finally almost done with Reignited, which we should have been some 7 years ago, but but also COVID happened, so that was one factor, like immediate factor from the time. But anyway, I talked about it in a recent episode where I was like, yeah, this might just be me attempting to do another knock at 64, because they were the two 96 platformers at the time, and of course everyone's like, oh, which one aged better? Oh, Mario 64, yeah, fuck you, Crash 1. It's like, Jesus, shut up. Ugh, I hate that argument so much. I feel the complete opposite. I do not think Mario 64 aged well at all. But Crash 1 I feel did, because if Insane proved anything, you just make those little improvements, those little quality of life modern day improvements, and the game feels a lot more fun.
Yeah, I will say that as a person that tries to go into games with an open mindset, I do think that Mario 64 did not age as well as Crash did.
No.
Like, at all. Like, you can't expect me to fucking sing praises about Mario 64 when I have to play it with a goddamn another controller. Like, one that's not the traditional controller, or also just be like, to try and at least play it on the original hardware. I did try, and I did not get far in it because I was just like, "What the fuck is this?"
I mean, because Jerry and I also, speaking of, that was before we did our like 2017 rebrand, and we had like a 3-year hiatus. As I was trying to figure stuff out, that was the last thing that we played. That was where we left off from the like original run of the channel with like our shitty little fucking guys that I do, our little avatars and stuff. The last thing we did was Mario 64, and it was on original hardware. If we were to, I actually did pass the idea over to Jerry. I'm like, hey, if you want to revisit that game, we need to play like co-op deluxe, because that's like the more definitive way to play. Point being, again, another tangent, sorry, that Mario 64, or like even like Glover or Bubsy, like those fucking games have weird level design, and it's supposed to be these whimsical fantasy worlds. I get it, where like very Alice in Wonderland, I guess, like abstract, very like weird, but like as creative as they can be, they're so chaotic and unpredictable that like the developer could just say, fuck you. This level is just a middle finger to the players. Like, fuck you. Attempt to complete the level if you can, but those blocks are going to start rotating in weird ways, and you're not going to be able to understand the pattern or when they do. But we're innovative because we're going to put the system, I'm calling out one specific level of Mario 64, where you go into the level when the clock's at the hands are at a certain position, and it changes the way they move. That's creative and innovative. No one else. Yeah, but you're changing the pattern of these weird fuck-ass blocks that move in weird ways. You're never going to understand the timing. Because you're not keeping track of that shit. Like, what time on the clock, the hands of the clock you're going into the level. You're not. It's just like, it's unnecessary. Why fucking bother? Just make the level.
Because all it does is just break the flow of the consistency of all the other levels.
Yes.
And no, yeah, I do. I definitely.
Or even that world itself upon the revisits.
Yeah,
I get it's supposed to be that the experience is never the same, but it's like,
I mean, I understand that at least like the.
I don't care. Like,
I can at least understand some of like changing up the level in a certain way, because Mario. Not to get too much into this, but I know that most Mario games tend to do it where when you're doing the star collecting,
a remixed version of the level.
It's like, oh, you're here again, but now you have to go through this path, and as you're going through this path, things are a little bit different.
Well, that's why I like the way Crash does it, because Crash does it more naturally. The first 3 games, back on topic, have level revisits where they explore the same theme. Sometimes there'll be 2 or even 3 levels. Like Crash 3 has moments where it's like 3 different levels of the same theme, but things are remixed, things are different. The enemies and the hazards in those levels are the same. Sometimes they'll even add brand new ones to throw you off a little bit and get you like, hey, don't get too familiar, don't get too comfortable rather, because it's not all too familiar. So for example, like Jungle Rollers and Rolling Stones. Jungle Rollers is the second level of the game. You got the rollers, you have, your introduction to the TNT crates and all that stuff, and you got the plants and the I think they're turtles. They're skunks. There's skunks in that level. A lot of that stuff comes back into Rolling Stones, but the level is harder because you've got wider gaps, and you have that's the introduction to the Brio tokens and stuff like that. So it's little things like that to go, hey, this is different from the last. The music's the same, the level aesthetic and the colors and everything are all pretty much the same. Crash 3 we'll get into, and I think Crash 2 does this. Yes, Crash 2 does do this. They'll mess with times of day in those like level revisits.
Yeah.
But I say level revisits. We should call them like brother or sister levels. As basically like they come in pairs or sometimes in threes.
Well, yeah, even Crash 3 does that as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so that feels more natural to me than like, hey, you're visiting this big open world numerous times and shit's remixed, but like you're never gonna know like.
Yeah, because with
that can get a little messy sometimes.
Because with Crash, it's a way to not only have that first one be the introduction to the concept, but then when you reintroduce it again, when you are like, okay, here's this level type again, but this time, but I like that for Crash, it gives it like, okay, now you know what this is. Now that you know what to expect of this. See if you can handle the challenge of some new things added, or some things the things that they make different, where it's like it's a bit tougher to go through it. And Yeah, like with Mario 64, it's just kind of like go through these worlds, get the stars.
Well, because
That's
again,
pretty
I
much
think
it.
I think Banjo did that
Has some head
formula.
gimmicks, but
Banjo did. I mean, Banjo is essentially Mario 64 at its peak. Like Banjo is a better Mario 64 in my opinion. I think we might have talked about that way back when we did the Banjo episode of the podcast, but that was like our second episode ever of the podcast. But again, not to get too far into a tangent on other platformers, but like that's why I feel Crash excels at the type of platformer that Crash is, which is more hallway, closed off, precise platforming. And again, it just feels so natural in how it's designed and how it flows and its structure. And the things you're jumping on and off of, like, just it feels like it works. A lot of it is fantastical with like man-eating plants and fucking floating platforms, but like it doesn't feel so like the way I described it. It's not so abstract the way I described it with like Mario 64 or Glover or Bubsy, where it's just like we're in these weird ass fantasy worlds and shit has like gross colors and like weird patterns on them and they're all mega ultra polygonal and they're supposed to look weird. Like, no, I don't like that aesthetic. And Mario 64 really fucking goes into that. And that's probably why one reason among many why I don't like that game very much now. But with Crash, it just felt, and Spyro, they feel so natural and so like organic and lived in, and like I don't know. It's weird to talk about. It just feels like I'm bitching and trying to find something to harp on for Mario and all that. But like that's just how I feel. And Crash feels, because Crash is still on Earth with real locations. It's the coast of Australia, so like even though the Wumpa Islands are fictitious, obviously, but like it's still supposed to be like it's on Earth. It's a lived-in world. It's supposed to feel natural and organic. It's not going to be the closest it gets to being weird like that is the bonus rounds, when all of a sudden you're in some dank, dark, creepy factory, or like the caves with Brio, or like up in the trees with Tana. But other little things of note for the first game before we get into like the other PS1 stuff very quickly, because again we're just gonna kind of fly by them. It's gonna be hard to talk about every single game. It's gonna be like a fucking 5-hour podcast, and I don't want that to happen. I obviously like the characters, and it's really funny going back and listening. Aaron loves to make fun of the quality of their mic quality for the first game. Fucking Brendan O'Brien as Cortex being like, quickly, into the vortex. Like, it's just so early, and I like it. It's so weird.
Yeah, but I think even then, I was
there's a charm to it.
Yeah, there's a charm to it, and I like the fact that back then, when they were trying to take like the story at least seriously for Crash and whatnot, I do like that even then with a different voice, Cortex was still threatening. It was still very much like he has a prominent role within the world and stuff like that.
Because it was the beginning, and like it. I always say that the reason why Crash works and its story and everything and the characters work is because it feels very much like a modern comedic Looney Tunes-esque twist, and this is just going to be Animaniacs, literally, it's Pinky the Brain, on a Frankenstein's monster story.
Yeah.
Literally, it's alive, or like, throw the switch, and we're going to, make this guy the general of our army.
That's why it's interesting.
But then he escapes, and he's cool, and he has attitude, and that's where, like, the modernness for the time, comes in.
That's why it's interesting when looking at, like, the development of the game and how, like, Crash was supposed to be something like Gex, where he was supposed to be like
Willy Wombat, when
yeah.
he's supposed to like wig out and like take on different TV personalities.
Yeah,
like his brain would glitch and he would like
when he would
literally flip personalities. Like I was like, I get the vision. I get it could have been really funny, but like
really the Wombat going to save
Carmen that Cortex made because he wanted a mate. That's gross. I shit you not. That's what the original story was. Read your production Bible. Bureau wrote it. But yeah, there was just something so simplistic about the story of the first game, and it just kicks off everything else. And but I guess too, they got more of that money, that dough, for Crash 2. The other thing I'll say about Crash 1 is, again, I'm used to like the way the game feels. It's a slower, it has its energetic moments and its fast-paced moments, but you need to really be able to like pay attention to the platforming, to the patterns. Like, they give you enough time for the most part in most areas to like really study the stones that jut in and out of the wall, or the way like a weird like they'll do like complete circular patterns for like floating platforms, but then sometimes like in slippery climb they'll do some weird wonky pattern, but they give you time to like notice it's off and that there's a weird shape to it. It's not a full circle, so like you have to just pay attention. People don't pay attention in Crash, and they start dying a lot, and they think it's a rage game, and it's like, no, it's not built to be a rage game. It's just, even though Crash 4 later puts a fucking death meter in, or death count in there, but like, it's meant for you to be able to like kind of grow with the game as you go.
Yeah, it's just...
It's not Dark Souls. Shut the fuck up.
It's just meant to be like, you have to analyze everything and make sure, because the game teaches you how to play. It's just a matter of like
naturally too, not with no fucking hints and text pop-ups. Although the Japanese version does have Aku give you hints, but
I mean, yeah, but I think even then, like the level design and everything still teaches you what you can and can't do and stuff, and like how we've been talking about how we talk about when learning as you go, how it's like, you see the TNT crate and you think, oh, can I spin that? And you do, and you die, and you're like, all right, now
either you die, or because you
bounce on it and you see the countdown or something.
They give you Aku right there, because if you don't carry over any of the Akus you get from the first level into the second one, they give you one right there so you can test that theory. And even if you don't, if you think, oh, I'm not gonna pick up the mask because I want to see what this crate does, you're gonna get penalized. You die. The way they teach you is so natural. Like I'm saying, the progression to the structure, to the formula to the game and level design, all of it is so organic and so natural, and that's why I love Crash 1 so much. And even shit that people find weird, like I understand the crate count resetting when you die. For those who are impatient and can't get the patterns down and can't get the flow of the levels down, and they keep dying, and there was no real way to like tell how many crates you even broke. Sometimes they would put little bastard hidden crates in weird spots. It wasn't as crazy as Crash 4 would end up getting, but like that it did start as early as the very first game. You just had to be like kind of observant. But I understand it would piss a lot of people off, and being able to save the game for the time, if you to get a password or to even save onto a memory card, you would need to fucking like get a gem or beat a bonus round. So I understand how Pat tried to bring this up in the fucking like Deadlock episode that they did of debating over games or whatever, and I'm just like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I don't like when people talk about Crash and they have no idea what they're talking about, because obviously they didn't grow up with it in the same. That's what I'm saying. It's hard for me to be able to like be a consultant of like for someone to come to, because I know the game so much and so to such a degree that like I can tell when people who talk about it just have no idea what they're doing, like talking about or thinking they know it because it's popular, but not actually being as intimate with the game as far as like knowing the levels, knowing the structure, knowing the patterns, knowing how the enemy behavior is, and knowing how to get gems and do the completion for 100% in the way that I do, because I've played it so much and because I love it so much. It's highly replayable for me, whether I want to just go through it front to back or 100% it. Not the hardest thing in the world for me to do anymore. The only one level I hate, it's a piece of shit and needs to go die in a hole, is fucking Fumbling in the Dark. For some reason, that's the one for me. It used to be Slippery Climb when I was a kid. Because that's the one that everyone would go to, that one level. Which one's the one that you fucking hate? Oh, Slippery Climb. For me, it's like, nah, fuck that. I can do that pretty okay.
You should
Fumbling in the Dark can go fuck itself.
You should at least be thankful that you didn't get Stormy Ascent. Like, let's just say that in the original. Because, fuck, man. Like,
I mean, even trying to do it in Insane was like...
It's a goddamn challenge, and for a reason.
Why do you think I screamed in joy when I finally got the gold relic? My God. It was an iconic moment, iconic destination mark moment. But the other games too, to get out of the PS1 era, because we fucking went somewhere almost 50 minutes and we're still in the PS1 era.
Let's say because
2 and 3 are natural progressions off the first one.
Yeah, they still do like that structure, like how you talk about, where it's the natural progression of like
natural tutorials. Yeah,
you're introduced to these specific levels, and then later on, as you're progressing through the game, they get a bit more tougher and whatnot.
I mean, Crash 2 even has a literal tutorial level. After Coco says, "Get my battery," you just run around a little like short
it gives you
space.
It gives you time to get used to Crash's new moves and stuff like that.
Yes.
And all the new stuff that you're able to do from the start right there. And,
I mean, even too, like if somehow that one is your first, video game or first platformer, they even give you a small, like pit, but it's not actually a pit. It's just more of a divot in the ground, so you can walk. It's still ground. You can walk onto that little divot, but it's meant to be like, hey, you need to jump over that because the very next thing you come up to, it's a pit. So like it's even trying to teach you like jump over pits. Break crates, you'll get goodies from it. Bounce on certain crates if you see another one like floating on top of it or above it, and so it teaches you like the most basic of what Crash is, and it's stripped down components. You can spin, you can jump, you can now slide and jump and crouch and shit. But like, you break crates, you get stuff. Okay, now start collecting shit. Like, it's very very natural, very very.
Doesn't it give you a crystal in that level or no?
No.
Oh no, that's the thing of the first level.
That's the first, yeah. No, I was saying before as well. They Naughty Dog had that dough, that Crash 1 dough, that Sony dough, because we got Clancy Brown as Cortex, and
I do think he was a really good Cortex.
Pretty peak Cortex. The first peak Cortex that we had was right there.
Yeah, because if Crash 1 could have a threatening kind of Cortex where it's more so like he's
a little weird, he's a little silly, but like he's still pretty menacing. Like,
yeah, and then like 2 and 3 is like, okay, no, he is actually like a threat, and it's like he's actually more.
He's manipulative.
Yeah, it's very manipulative. I like that, and I like that about 2 because of that intro of like him saying, if we don't have any enemies, then we need to find if we don't have any friends, we need to find an enemy. And
so they're tricking Crash.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more dialogue in the game, too, because you have those hologram interactions with Cortex, Brio, and Coco. So, like...
Yeah, there's more story to be told at that point.
There's a lot going on. I like that they gave, Coco being introduced in 2 and replacing Tana. Like, it's cool that they didn't just delegate her to the beginning of the game and the end of the game, because Crash is the one who's abducted to go onto the adventure, so Coco's left behind. But, like... the fact that she's this super smart kid genius and can like hack into their system and shit, she's constantly trying to figure out what their angle is, and then eventually finds out, oh shit, he built a way bigger Cortex Vortex. It's on a spaceship, or a space station rather, and he's going to like hit the whole world with it. So we need to stop him, and that's why he wants the crystals. But he's trying to tell Crash, other forces want to destroy the world, and I'm reformed now because you destroyed me the first time. So like I'm trying to help you, help me to help you, and to help like the world or whatever. And then he pins it on Brio, going like, hey, yeah, Brio's the one, it's him. While Brio's like, nah, he's doing some shit, and I need the gems so I can destroy him once and for all. And so everyone's trying to kind of pull you one way or another and feed you information, and it's like really cool. Even Simpsons would go on to parody it with Dash Dingo. So like. It's just, that's how iconic that Crash 2 is over the first game in that sense, that like there's a lot more meat on the bones. And the secrets get way nastier too, like, but it's still very, they just give you breadcrumbs and they kind of feed you into one certain direction to be like, hey, that's a little weird, right? Maybe you should check that out.
Or to make you think like, oh hey, this thing is a little weird, like
a random platform you can't get to when you're jet skiing, but there's crates placed so you can skip the jet ski, jump on the crates, get to a secret area. Or like, hey, there's a random plant dude on this platform here. It's not too far out of the way, but like you have to hop over. You can, if you figure out you can body slam them, and you body slam that one, you find a secret. Or again, the most natural, super sick tutorial and way to like feed the player information without regurgitate, like vomiting info down their throats, is to be like, hey, Snowgo, you have Aku, you have a TNT, and you have a Nitro. So if you played Crash 1, you would know that the TNT is bad. If you try to spin the TNT, you're still going to get killed. But that's a green crate, so that should be good, right? And if you touch it at all, you die. Or if you touch it with Aku, you're going to immediately lose Aku. So death upon touch, you get hurt upon the touch. Don't touch them. And they kind of bubble and go, burble, burble, and they hop. Then you find the ones that are stacked in a weird, like, staircase type pattern, and they don't move, they don't glow, they don't do anything. And it's like, well, that's strange. And you can actually step on them, and there's a secret. And it's like, what? Like, it feels like it's a little bullshit, but like they taught you pay attention to how the crates work.
Yes.
How they look, if they do little hops or little things.
It still teaches you to be observant,
yes,
and whatnot, and pay attention to how things work, while also trying to trick you into thinking like, oh hey, that thing's a little weird. Anyways, and it felt
Crash 2 was pretty good at that.
Yeah, but yeah, in that sense, it felt natural to do that, especially with how you progress through the game at that point.
Yeah,
because of course, if you're just playing through, of course you're just gonna go get the crystals and then face Cortex at the end and whatnot, and then it's like, okay, yeah, then if you want to give Rio the gems and whatnot, then that's when you then have to be observant and
because a lot of gems
find out what weird things are being shown to you, to be like, hey, there might be a secret here, or there might be a thing here. Because
certain gems are hidden behind specific challenges. Sometimes they're locked behind the death route platforms. That was the first time we got the death route platforms. You have to reach them without dying to actually be able to hop on them. They reworked certain things, like how the bonus rounds work and stuff like that. And there's them putting the red gem like still just far enough down to where you can do that little weird skip, and you can like jump off the bounty crate and like just get enough height with like the body slam, and you can get it early to the point where Insane they put it up higher so you couldn't do that. But little things like that I love about Crash 2. The Cortex fight, not the greatest. Yeah. I will agree. It's still like kind of fun, but not when you're bopping into fucking like little asteroid crater rocks. Every so often, as you're trying to chase him. I've had numerous times as a kid trying to get to him, and you get to the very end of the course and he escapes, and it's like fuck. But the 100% ending's cool because it leads right into Crash 3, and how Coco actually does join you at that point, and you guys meet up with Brio, and you give him all the gems, and he fires a big fuck off laser at the space station. And again, Insane demonstrates like how that directly goes, the debris falls back down and it goes right into Crash 3. And Crash 3 is much of the same. Again, the theming is really cool because now we're doing time travel, so that's where it's like a little weird for a lot of people, where it's like, I've had conversations with Miharu, I've had conversations with a bunch of other friends back in the day of like, okay, is Crash 3 a time travel game or is it a world tour game? Because the Japanese version of Crash 3 even puts a globe in the background of the logo for that version, and so the Japanese version treats it as more of a world tour game, because even though we're going back to like ancient Egypt or like
prehistoric era
stuff like that, but it's still like
Jurassic era and stuff like that.
Yeah, but having more very specific locations like Egypt and like I was gonna say like India, but it's more like trying to fucking think of the Arabian.
I would say like Arabian.
Yeah. Stuff. So like stuff like that. I'm trying to think of other places really quick. There's one I'm forgetting, and I can't remember it. But there's Rome. There's Tiny's fight takes place in the Colosseum. So like, it's supposed to be back when those places were more active, or more like from the history books.
Yeah. So
it's still time travel, but we're going to different locations around the world at that point, and that's why I guess they think it felt more like a world tour game than a time travel game. So they're kind of one and the same. Those themes can be interchangeable, but like I still see Crash 3 as a time travel game. I mean, there's a big clock and R in the background of our logo. So
I mean the game story literally says that
they enlisted Entropy's help to like
that
go
hub
back
area,
in time.
Yeah, that hub area is a time machine.
It's the time twister. Yeah.
So it's like,
So, but having like Entropy and then seeing Uka Uka, the weird thing with Uka Uka is they try to shoehorn him into the story like, hey, Cortex was working for him all along, and I'm like, I was fine with that as a kid because I didn't know any better, but then someone or other showed me like, hey, that's like, that doesn't make sense, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, 1 year passes between Crash 1 and 2, and if Cortex even remotely, at that point, he discovered the crystals right after his defeat in Crash 1, and then spent a year trying to find the rest of them with Engine's help to like power his bigger fuck off vortex. So like, he had no intention to give anything to an Uka Uka if such a character existed for reals, like even behind the scenes at that time. There's no hints because the character wasn't invented yet.
Yeah.
So they, gave Aku a brother, an evil brother, in Crash 3, and then try to bake him in, like weave him into the rest of the stories of 1 and 2. And it doesn't make sense. So in my Iceberg video on Destination Mark, I'm like, yeah, Crash 3 kind of retcons 1 and 2 as far as Cortex and the crystals are involved in shit. Because Uka all of a sudden is like, well, and the gems, because he says you lost the gems, you lost the crystals. So that's supposed to be the gems are Crash 1, the crystals are Crash 2. And it's like, huh? Where were you this whole time? I mean, yes, imprisoned, but like, no mention of you, because you weren't around yet. You weren't invented yet. Brio didn't invent you yet. But, Uka's still cool, obviously, also voiced by Clancy Brown, so Clancy starts to take on like 80% of the dialogue in Crash 3.
Clancy Brown is essentially the highlight of 2 and 3.
Basically. I do like the Time Twister messages from the enemies of the villains with their heads, and even with Aku popping up. So that was pretty cool. Coco's completely silent. She's the only one with, Crash is always silent, but like Coco doesn't talk in this one. So she has no actress accredited for 3, like, at all. Despite you even being able to play as her, which was sick. Only on in the vehicle levels, but alright, we need to rip the Band-Aid off and talk about the progression of Crash 3 and how, oh boy. So again, as we were talking about Crash 1 and 2 with like the colored gems and like going back and backtracking to unlock, getting colored gems will help unlock levels you can go back to and go down alternate paths. Crash 1 and 2, did this, and Crash 3 does it too, but again, going bigger and better was like the theme of doing sequels back in the day. So like, and it's still obviously like kind of the philosophy today. Like if you do one thing and everyone loves it, and you want to do another one, a follow up, then obviously and naturally, I guess your main thought is to go, okay, we got to make it different. We have to make it bigger. We have to make it better. And those are usually bigger and better are the two words they love to use when talking about sequels for things. It's like it'll give you more of an experience. There's more to do. So there's always more, and it's bigger, and it's better. And it's like, all right, in a lot of circumstances, that's great because you want the variety and you want the, you want it to feel more fresh, more full. Plus, it's them being able to flex their skills of being developers and being able to cram more content in there and pull off Crash riding a motorcycle and Coco doing barrel rolls in a plane, like doing dogfights and shit in the air. Like that's cool. It hasn't been done before. It's how they tie progression into that, and the fact that sometimes the controls, and because they don't want the controls to feel them thinking different, has to mean okay, Crash on foot versus Crash in like a motorcycle. That has to feel different. Not only because being in a vehicle obviously feels different from walking, but like just on a logical scale, but then also like in the game, you want it to be two different gameplay experiences, except you're also Coco in a jet ski, Crash on a dinosaur, Crash in a plane, and it's like, it's a lot of fucking vehicles, man. That's a lot. It doesn't matter, a little too much variety to where when you have to start backtracking, and then you're going to play those levels perfect to get gems and Jesus Christ, time trial relics. Oh, Crash 3 is...
Yeah, not only that, but also getting those time trial relics to unlock more levels to do more things in them and stuff like that. To unlock the secret
if you get 5 relics of any color, you unlock the 6th hidden warp room. And 2 had that as well, had a hidden warp room, but it was done a little differently. Again, when you find those weird oddball secret areas, it would transport you to a harder level in that warp room. But for Crash 3, like, you have to find the 6th warp room by grabbing the relics, and that's the only way. It's 5, 10, 15, 20, and then all 25 relics to unlock each level of those 5, because it's 5 levels to a warp room. It's relics you have to collect. Every 5 unlocks a new secret level on that 6th warp room. And they're cool remix levels of like, so you might even get like a 4th level in some type of like level type, like the motorcycle levels. Yeah. You have daytime with what's it called? Hog Ride, I believe. Then you've got Road Crash, which is more like kind of at night. You have Orange Asphalt, which takes place during like the kind of sunset.
Mm.
And then you have Area 51, which is the secret level, and it's blackout dark, and you're racing against UFOs instead of lab assistants.
Mm.
And that shit's cool. I do like it. But when you're having to like go for 105% completion, because you can go over 100 in this one, you have to grab all the gems. All the relics have to be gold, because it's sapphire, gold, and platinum.
Mm.
Gold's the standard for actual progression of like the percentage.
Yeah.
And then you get the last gem from Coco once you get everything else, and then there's little fireworks, and it's cool. You also can see Fate Crash and all that.
Mm.
But it's like, oh, it's a lot. Crash 3 takes way longer to beat fully than Crash 1 and 2. And again, me knowing Crash 1 so well, I can go back to that and 100% it with little problems. Crash 3, I'm having to remember, okay, so I get this gem and it unlocks this path over here. And this death route has this color gem, which will unlock this level over here, and then I have to get like, you might as well just do all the vehicle like right out the gate, because you get power ups now in Crash 3. And you get the crash dash at the very end, which initially you don't understand what it's for, because you already ran through the levels, so it's like, how come I can like sprint now? Because you probably didn't do the relics, and the relic times, especially for gold, require you have the crash dash. So it's an incentive to keep going and get 100 and then 105% as you're playing with like the base stuff. And the base stuff is where it's the most fun, because it's just going through the levels and trying to, figure out the controls for the different vehicles and shit.
Yeah, going through the game normally is typical Crash, like level structure and just how and progression and stuff like that. It just becomes arduous when you're trying to go for full completion of the game.
Because even Crash 2, it was the start of all of this, what Crash 3 does, but like not so much like as in, what am I trying to say, like, not in spades the way Crash 3 is, of like secret after secret after secret, and like, I gotta find this, and there are 2 fuck off levels you have to find completely randomly. So there's a bunch of levels, and they wanted to really bump up the secret game for how they introduce secrets. I mean, the one that I like that's iconic to Crash 3 is running through in Road Crash, you run over the alien sign, and you just randomly get transported to a level, and that's Hot Cocoa, and it's really cool. To find a level randomly like that. But then you have to go into a secret level, if I remember right. Or, no. My bad, no. You go into Dynamite, and you have to have gotten the yellow gem already, which you don't get for a while, to go onto its yellow gem path, and this colored gem path that goes to alternate things in the levels started as far back as Crash 1. But like, you have to be in that secret area and then get carried away by a specific enemy, and it transports you to Egipus Rex, and it's like, how the fuck? I still have problems trying to remember which one it is to begin with. Every time I revisit and have to feel the need to 105% Crash 3, I can never remember which pterodactyl takes you to the secret level.
That's the funny part, is that I do remember that secret, but yeah, it's just all the steps to get to that point
it's a little more esoteric, and yeah, it's like really weird.
Because that's just where I'm like, yeah, I know, that's like one of the most fuck ass secrets that you can just find on a whim or whatever. It's just,
I forget how I found it as a kid. It must have blown my mind when I was a kid if I found it that early. I can't remember if I even found it when I was a kid.
I feel like so, because I remember seeing you do those secret levels and stuff like that.
Or I probably saw it in a cheat code book.
Yeah,
because we had those back in the day. Or Cheat Planet on the interwebs. But I mean, all this to say, we're an hour in. The original trilogy is good. We have to talk about the rest of the series. God damn it. So, okay. Then they made CTR, which is a racing game, and I love it. It was Naughty Dog's last Crash game, and they were kind of trying to jump this shark so they could kind of, in a way, and it was probably very bittersweet, I think, to Naughty Dog, especially to Jason and Andy, that like they were already looking forward to the future with like Jack for the PS2, And simultaneously, as the end of CTR was, wrapping up its development, Andy had already gone on to start doing code for Jak and Daxter. So those games at one point in time were being worked on simultaneously, which is wild to think about. But I think they felt, because of how they were kind of treated, and not to get into that topic for too long, because again, we've been going on tangents nonstop in this episode, but like, with how they were kind of treated, like the whole space of like, okay, Naughty Dog went into this contract with Universal, they were the publishers, Naughty Dog are the developers, but then Sony has like all of the PlayStation stuff and the first partiness under its belt, and Naughty Dog having made Crash, and Crash being this breakout hit that was like, that hit the ground running in terms of popularity, because all three of the games, Crash 1, 2, and 3, even CTR, eventually got like marketed the shit out of. When it in their own ads, and then in like PlayStation, like holiday season, get the PlayStation, you can get Spyro, you can get Crash 3, you can get this and this. So they were always there, and with the guy in the Crash suit and doing all that. But even though all of that was happening, Naughty Dog did want to work with Sony and go kind of around Universal. But Universal, when they went into that contract, they ended up owning the rights to Crash and Spyro. So Naughty Dog, for Insomniac, but for Naughty Dog, so that meant they never really. Eventually, they didn't own Crash, so they were just making games for the series. And I think at that point they were a little jaded with the entire situation, and wanting to like cut the ties with Universal. And it wasn't anything on like Mark Cerny's fault or anything like that, I don't imagine. It was just however the higher ups over him and all of that, probably. I'm not sure how that works. But like, because obviously we have the rest of the series because of Universal. Naughty Dog was hoping, and Jason and Andy specifically were hoping, that Crash could just kind of stay in PS1 land forever. Like, okay, we did these big hits, and they're not going to go away, but they're only going to be on this PlayStation, because we're already working on PS2 stuff. So with CTR, it seems, all that to say, that they kind of felt like they were trying to jump the shark a little, because all of a sudden, aliens. Here's Oxide, he's an alien, and it's a racing game, it's not even a platformer. Because the 3-game contract was already up, they fulfilled it with 1, 2, and 3. CTR comes out as their last big, farewell to the series into like the PS1 era, as they went on to do Jak, that like they were trying to almost, as much as the passion and the effort that they still put into CTR, because it plays kind of like a platformer, but it's a cartoon racing game, and it has all its cartoony, familiar Crash elements, with levels and stuff, themes, track themes ripped from like 2 and 3 and all that, and characters from all the most of the characters, not every single character, but most of them from Crash 1, 2, and 3 are there. But with Oxide and like the weird stuff like that, and trying to make them sound and look a little funnier or whatever, that like they probably retroactively, or very subtly I should say, tried to like make Crash seem unappealing in a way. Like, okay, now we're just getting weird and we're doing like random shit with him now. So that way, just enough so people can go, okay, Crash was on PS1 and that's fine, but what's over here now? And that's not what happened, obviously, because Universal, the greedy fucks that they are, were like, hey, we're sitting on cash cows here with Crash and Spyro, so we need to continue that shit. But they weren't giving their devs the fucking time to do stuff, because they imagined, I guess what was going through their mind was, okay, well, Naughty Dog, they were a small team, and they cranked out a banger every year. So, hey, guess what, Traveler's Tales? You have until the holiday season of, like, 2000 to make your game, or 2001 or some shit, to make Wrath of Cortex. But with CTR, real quick, again, not to get too crazy into stuff, but, like, it was the PS1 era, again, just defining it as a whole, like, it was a lot of fun, and obviously it's where a lot of our memories still reside. Because even Crash Bash, for as much as people hate it, and I don't know, there's a weird, in the Crash community I see recently, there's this weird thing they're doing where when they revisit Bash for any reason, they have to feel the need to 200% it. And it's like, why are you doing that? It's a party game. Fucking, you play it with friends. It's not, I know that Eurocom developed it to kind of fucking be this, like, to try to be like the platformers where there's a lot to collect and a lot to like, and the progression and unlocking stuff, but like that's not why I like it. I like it because it's silly little dumb mini games you can play with friends. Like, we played the shit out of it. I played it with Grandpa. Grandpa taught me how to fucking not fall off the platform in the polar bear mini games. He taught me to mash square or whatever. Like, those are where my memories are. Like, I have no fucking interest. It's like, that's like if you played Mario Party to specifically, like, get all, like, the little stupid stamps or fucking, like, little things they say you can collect or, like, unlock every fucking minigame in the entire game, even the weird oddball, like, with other controllers or special unique mechanics and shit. And, like, why would you go through any of that? Like, yes, it's in the game so you can, but do it in moderation. Why are you making, like, these big runs on stream of, like, I'm gonna do the whole fucking thing, and then start complaining that you're having a bad time because the game was, like, not developed right, or, like, it's just because there were weird choices, or the minigames are the fucking, I don't know, I'm just ranting. What? Crash Bash.
No, I mean, I can see the frustration of trying to do 200% because of the stipulations and the requirements needed to do them.
Like, you're creating a bad time for yourself by trying to say, well, it's Crash, so clearly I can do it. I'm a Crash fan.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, but why?
That's the other thing I was gonna say was that, like, yeah, trying to do everything in one go, you're setting yourself up for a bad time, and that's your fault.
It's like Remy in Ratatouille. Yeah, everyone can, but it doesn't mean everyone should.
Yo, true.
It's
true
like,
and factual.
Yeah, I mean, I could fucking attempt it if I really wanted to, but I feel that I have no desire.
I don't know.
Absolutely no desire.
Only if we were sadistic enough to actually try and get
as a kid, I did enough in the main story to get to Oxide because he was like the final boss or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that as a kid. It took me a while, but I felt satisfied after doing all that. And again, it wasn't even about, because of how spin-offy it was really starting to feel at that point, because it's a party game, I didn't feel the need to fucking start doing, like, crystals and relics or what the fuck ever is in that game.
Yeah.
And
I
played with you.
Yeah, I think the only thing to just, I guess, criticize about that is the fact that some of the more unique, the other types of mini games that they had
are kind of
were locked behind those. So it's like, you're still
I never got to play
required to do it if you want it, but I mean, that's only if you are really wanting to put yourself through that to get those things.
Yeah, because I never got to play, like, Drag and Drop or, like, those other weird ones.
Yeah, like the other racing one.
Yeah, the one where you go in a circle. Yeah, I never really played those. Yeah. But I didn't really care because my favorite anyway was the one with
our favorites were just bashing each other with all the bash levels. And
Space Bash. Space Bash specifically was my favorite. That and Desert Fox. Space Fox was it called? No, not Space Fox. It was Metal Fox, I think.
Metal Fox.
Something like that.
It is. Yeah.
Those ones are my favorite. So, I mean, I
just really liked the ones where you get to fucking smack each other in the face with stone crates and whatnot.
Yeah, shit's funny.
It's hilarious.
But Space Bash was interesting because with the Nitro and the TNT crates, like, it makes holes in the floor. Mm-hmm. You have to actually hop over them. And if you could catch, like, the NPC or the CPUs just right, they're trying to jump over a gap, you can smack them with a crane and they just fall straight down and die. Mm-hmm. Like, immediately. Shit was fun. And you want to use Tiny or Koala Kong.
Yeah.
My main, if you want to call it, was Tiny. Mm. I don't really pick Tiny in much of any other spin-off games, but specifically in Crash Bash, and for those minigames in particular, I was always Tiny.
Mm. I do wish that for Bash, for our version, we got Fake Crash.
Yeah. I do have Crash...
Because I feel that was a bit of a cop-out, but...
I do have Crash Carnival, physically, but, yeah. And it's ironic, too, that they made him,
his own thing.
No, that they made him unlockable. Mm. And not, like, just there from the get-go. That they locked him behind, like, you have to do a code or something. Mm. Considering they're the ones that basically made Fake Crash.
Yeah.
But, let's talk about, what was it? There was something I had in mind for Crash Bash, and I forgot what it was. We got Rillaroo, everyone's favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he hadn't seen the light of day after that. They killed him off.
Everyone's favorite OC.
And they revived him in Nitro Fuel.
Yeah.
In fact, they revived him twice.
Yeah, I was about to say, they revived him twice.
But, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying that, like, if this section was anything to go by, we do really love the PS1 era of Crash and how just how memorable they were and how
Yeah.
what things were like back then and stuff.
I mean, people were gonna say that the series went downhill after Bash, like right when Bash happened, after CTR.
Yeah, essentially downhill after the PS1 era.
That's what a lot of fucking people say, but I don't care.
I don't particularly agree with it.
I don't agree with it at all.
Like there's like so few arguments that I could be like, I mean, yeah, it seems reasonable, but most of the time it's just people complaining for the sake of complaining, and it's like, I don't know if your opinion is actually valid at that point.
If they can't find actual stuff to like,
as
rebuttals to like our points of like, well, this is why we like them.
Yeah, because anything that I hear about complaints, it's usually the same shit.
When it comes to Crash, it's always the same shit. It's always the stupidest shit. So a lot of it makes no sense.
Like,
But the PS2 era, the middle era, we're gonna encompass a bunch of different games. Again, okay, so we're not gonna. We did it with PS1. I didn't mean to. We're not doing it with PS2. We're going to just kind of talk about a couple of the games as we go along. But what this encompasses would be PS2, GameCube, Xbox era stuff, and the GBA and 1DS game. So we've got Wrath of Cortex. We have the GBA games, which would be Huge Adventure and Trance.
My favorite of the Game Boy games.
Yeah, for me, I like Huge Adventure. I like them both, but I really like Huge Adventure. Crash Purple and Spiral Orange. The first time they actually crossed over, which I will never forget, and I love those games. Again, they're mini-game, they're party games, but I don't mind. So we're not gonna bring up every time someone complains about something, because we would be here forever. We have Nitro Kart, which you know about that, but Twin Sanity and Tag Team. And then Titans and My Never Mutant. Oh shit! I legitimately skipped over Boom Bang. There's also Crash Boom Bang, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
If there's one thing everyone
wants to remember that,
if there's one thing everyone complained about that I do agree with is, yeah, Boom Bang is a really bad game.
It's weird.
It's really weird. I mean, I won't lie. I do like the art style, kind of. It's not great, but
I guess it was an interesting take on another party game? Question mark.
Oh god, people said Bash was a Mario Party clone. I'm like, nah, fuck you. Boom Bang was a Mario Party clone, and it's not a very good one.
Not a good one.
It's confusing as hell. And when you're playing the actual games, like the fucking NPCs have little like taunts they can do that can just fill the screen. And it's like, what is this? It's just way too distracting. It's way too like loud and obnoxious. The plot makes no sense. Coco gets like invited to some thing from the Viscount, and then everyone else gets involved in it too. And it's the World Cannonball Race where you can win upward to like some $1,000,000 like dollars or something. And then also he's trying to find the super big power crystal because it grants wishes. It's Shenron, you see, from the Dragon Ball. If you find it, you get one wish, and then it fucks off to be found again by somebody else. And of course, at the very end, Crash gets a hold of it instead of the Viscount, and he wishes for a bunch of Wumpa Fruit, and then he gets it, because of course that's what Crash would wish for. Not world peace, not Cortex to fuck off forever, but Wumpa Fruit.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the more what's simpler than that for characters that aren't really all that there in their brain, their brain functions.
But I mean, Wrath of Cortex was my first, to dial it back, rewind a little, Wrath of Cortex was my first PS2 game. Because I remember that Christmas, it was a very iconic Christmas, which I think we might have talked about already on the podcast. We might have. If we didn't, very, very briefly, we were in an apartment. We lived in an apartment that, for a couple of years, and you were pretty much just born. You were still like very, very, very little. And, we have it on tape on the camcorder wherever those tapes are, and Mom was like, okay, she wakes me up because it was midnight, and we opened presents, and there was a big ass box that I opened, and there was a little box in there, and it kept like Russian dolling like down until it got to like this still sizable box that had a PS2, my own small PS1, which I'm looking at right now. It's on the floor in my room down there. My own small the little slim PS1s, like the PSONE, the little tiny ones. PS2, PS1, Tekken 3, and Wrath of Cortex. So that was a kick-ass Christmas. Because I remember setting it up the next morning. We had it set up to see how it worked, or if how it looked and everything. But then I didn't really get to play it because she wanted me to go back to bed. And then that morning I woke up and I immediately started playing like Wrath of Cortex and like Tekken. They were brand spanking new. I remember that shit. It was so cool, so good, so fun. And I still, and that might be one reason why I like Wrath of Cortex so much, because I still have good memories with it, and it's not.
I'd say it's.
I don't think it's as bad as people say it is.
I'd say it's a guilty pleasure, or it's just
it's
just
not
kind of like you know that it's not that good of a game, but you don't have any like super negative feelings about it.
Yeah,
like
no. It's not
like,
super polished. Obviously,
yeah,
I can admit that.
Yeah, you can see it's not polished, but you can acknowledge that it's not a good game. But it's like it's not as bad.
I mean, it's all right.
It's all right.
Underrated as fuck, in my opinion.
I think it was
instead of overrated.
Yeah. I think just to quickly get my thoughts out there about it. I think it's an interesting game. It had like interesting in terms of like how they did the story and how they wanted it to go. It was just the whole thing that was causing the game to be rushed and stuff that just kind of made it not. Well, again, because
Universal, I guess Universal didn't really meddle too much with Eurocom for Bash, but not Vicarious Visions. Traveler's Tales definitely felt it with doing Wrath of Cortex, because it wasn't even Traveler's Tales to begin with. Mark Cerny had his own development, company as well, Cerny Games, and he was supposed to do the next Crash platformer for PS2. And they had in mind something that essentially would have just felt and behaved a lot like the way Jak and Daxter kind of came out. And they weren't really influenced by Jak, I don't think, directly, but like that was kind of the vision, to have something a little more open. Basically, kind of what Twinsanity became. I mean, even Twinsanity wasn't supposed to be what we ended up getting. I did a whole retrospective on that, so I mean...
Yeah, there's been a whole lot of things.
Everyone knows like the history and all that. I mean, even Paul Garner and Webb. What was it? Oh my god, I'm forgetting his first name. I thought his first name. The concept artist. I don't think was it him that was with Paul Garner? No, it was Paul Garner and somebody else. I'm forgetting who it was. Are doing videos on their own YouTube channel where they're starting to unearth stuff that even they forgot that got scrapped from Twinsanity, that we don't even like. They've been making videos. I haven't seen them yet because I'm waiting to see if how many they're going to make. So eventually I can just start binging them. But I think it is really funny. And now I'm not going to take... They never talked to me about this, because I got into contact with Paul Garner to ask the questions that I did for Twinsanity when I did the retrospective. I am so... Because I'm so insignificant. I'm going to just say it for myself. Like, as a person on the internet, I don't want to say that I somehow, with my retrospective, kind of like... planted Twinsanity back into their heads. I say this because not very long after I asked them those questions and made my video and it came out, like a couple months later, they start unearthing Twinsanity shit. So I don't think I influenced that in any way, shape, or form. It'd be cool if I did, but no one's ever told me I actually did. If you ever saw Destination Mark's video, no. Anyway, but like, Twinsanity is a very special case because it's where I found out about Spiral Mouth. That got me into acapella. The game felt a little different. I mean, it was the next immediate like big change up with a lot of the characters and their designs and their behavior.
Twinsanity was like, I guess to quickly talk about Twinsanity, like Twinsanity is when they started to take the series in a more comedic route and started to change up a lot of stuff with the characters and keeping like introducing voice actors who would eventually become mainstays and stuff like that.
Yeah, Lex is still Cortex to this day.
Yeah, and Twinsanity, like Wrath of Cortex, I think is also very interesting. But I feel like I grew more attached to Twinsanity because of how different everything felt and just how, and I think also just it was accompanied by the fact that Spiral Mouth did the OSTs. So it's like it's the one Crash game where the OST is just acapella and whatnot, and it's really, And sometimes I forget about it.
It was unique as fuck.
Yeah, sometimes I forget that it's acapella, like, sometimes, because when I listen to very specific tracks and whatnot,
Yeah.
I'm like, I could easily think about it with actual instruments, but then when I listen to it, it's like, oh no, these are all voices.
It's all voices.
It's all people's voices.
Yeah, they're processed and distorted in different ways, and some in some aspects way more heavily than others. But like, yeah, there is not a single guitar was strummed.
Not a single instrument was
played. But that was what made me so curious in the retrospective. So that's come out. I even was able to get a hold of Gabriel Mann and ask him questions. And so, in how they laid down the tracks, they still treated the soundtrack like they would if they did it with instruments. And so, having the guitars or the bass and having the percussion, to start a song or to carry it through structurally, and then start layering the different stuff and the melodies on top of it. So they still did it like they would any other, like a true band really would, Mm-hmm. And
that's why I think it's interesting.
But it's all voices.
Yeah, that's why even especially nowadays, I still always think about the always really re-listen to the boss themes, because I for each boss, it's their themes are very distinct.
Tikimon was your favorite for ever.
It
for
still is.
Yeah.
It still fucking is, because I
really
just
good.
love that tribal tone to the song and whatnot. That's where you really can hear the voices and of how it's done and stuff. But it's really fucking cool. And not only that, but also Rockslide Rumble is
I love that track.
My favorite of the level tracks.
Yeah.
And so it was very cool and very unique. And I feel like that's where I'm more attached to Twinsanity in that aspect, is through the OST, even through the characters as well, just because of how comedic some bits were and stuff like that. Lots of memes and shit came from Twinsanity as well.
Fucking Stormtrooper meme.
Yeah. or also
I want to know whose
Cortex
whatnot. I want to know whose idea it was. Whoever made that meme. I want to know who made that meme, because they were clearly just randomly thinking about Twinsanity one day and said, "I'm gonna just put the." I don't even know where the humping Stormtrooper gif comes from, but someone put two and two together and we got a fucking legendary meme out of it. One of the first actual Crash memes, and it wasn't even really Crash related. It just featured Crash music.
It's just because it was what. It's that song.
The Worm Chase.
Yeah, the Worm Chase song.
I don't know. I still know to this day if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong. It feels like it's kind of wrong, but it's a classical piece. It's the Blue Danube. Danube, I think. But watch it be like Danube or some shit. Danube. I don't fucking know. But anyway, I also feel like I was one of the first people to find the Worm Chase skip when I was a kid. I did try to film it for our Painbusters channel a long time ago. I enlisted in Javier's help to help me film it. I don't know. I think the footage came out weird, or I didn't like the way, or it took too long for me to actually execute the glitch. But there's a weird glitch with the pole that Cortex is tied to, and if you hit the lip of the first totem of the pole, you can there's a little bit of collision, so you can jump around Cortex. And with a well-timed body slam, because you get extra height, you can collect the crystal, but the crystal doesn't trigger the cutscene. There is an invisible cutscene trigger on the very top. It sits right on the crystal, and it's just a little wider, I think, than the hitbox of the crystal. But there is still a way you can collect the crystal and not trigger the cutscene. But I remember randomly just seeing if I could skip it, and then I did, and I was like, whoa.
There are definitely lots of skips in.
Yeah, I mean, Twinsanity is glitchy because of how much they cut from it, and again, time constraints. But the game's still a lot of fun. Obviously, that's why people still love it, and that's why I did the retrospective on the 20th anniversary, because I'm 20 years later, people still love this game.
Yeah,
and
it's still definitely memorable.
It holds up.
It's definitely more memorable than Wrath of Cortex was, which is an interesting thing, because it's
Wrath of Cortex, while it gave us crunch, obviously,
yeah,
I still like Wrath of Cortex. To talk on that again super briefly, because I didn't give my thoughts on it. because everyone calls it just a poor man's Crash 3. It's them trying to regurgitate Crash 3 again. And yes, the formula is very much just the same formula. You still have to get the crystals and the gems and the relics, and it's still the 5 warp rooms with the 5 levels and a boss after that. Although Crunch is the boss for every single one.
Yeah, it's Crunch with a different elemental mask,
which is a cool concept. I do like it, and I do like my favorite is the one with Pyro.
Yeah.
The fire one, it's really cool.
It is interesting with how they do those boss fights with Crunch and the elemental masks and stuff.
It was a neat concept. So I get that it's a very, very personal, kind of more intimate, fight of like this rivalry between. Well, even the fact that 4 platformer games in, and we get like Crunch is what Cortex wanted Crash to be. Mm-hmm. Like he finally got his Bandicoot warrior, and putting him up against Crash was really cool. So the fact that it's always Crunch against Crash, and Crunch has like this like I'm gonna fucking take you out like type attitude, was sick because it made him kind of threatening. Like Kevin Michael Richardson did a really great job with Crunch, and even in Nitro Kart, evolving Crunch and other characters, to be, because Nitro Kart is a very interesting in between. A transitionary kind of game between Wrath of Cortex, which was arguably the last of like the very, very classic, trying to keep the Naughty Dog style kind of alive with Crash, and then what we would get with Twinsanity, which is so the other way of its comedy and its slapstick and it's got like, raunchy humor.
Yeah, let's say like Twinsanity / Tag Team Racing.
Yeah. So like, of course, oh yeah, Tag Team got even rowdier with the humor, but like, Nitro Kart sits in a very good in-between of, like, it's not so much raunchy, but, like, it's much more comedic. Certain little character traits, like Coco being a bit older, which is where I fucking got my crush on her, and Crash having his, like, muzzle fur connect directly into his chest. A lot of just little design choices like that with the characters and stuff became mainstays.
Even having Crunch be like a Mr. T kind of character.
Almost. They did. That's where the introduction of like the healthy workout side of him happened, but it was taken further in Tag Team to parody status of like, it's just Mr. T. But
funny enough, that kind of just became his personality for like after that.
Yeah.
He's the workout bro.
But and two, it's weird. I think just because he's physically bigger, he's considered the big brother of the group. Because he literally does say, "Hey, Crash, what's up, little brother?" Like in Tag Team. And so it's like, all right, I guess just because he's physically... I mean, are you an older Bandicoot than Crash and Coco? Or like, before you were experimented on? Or like, is it just because you're physically bigger? Because you were introduced later into the series. So like, how's that... Where's the age? Where's the... I don't know. Whatever. It's a cartoon. Don't think too hard about it. But it was, Clancy Brown's last outing as Cortex. Really cool and unique and, like, super, like, dropped, like, right afterward, like, design choice to give Engine, like, a cybernetic eye. Because it's, like, black with, like, a little, like, red pupil. And it's the only time that's ever happened. Tiny was first voiced by John DiMaggio around that time. So little things like that. And again, the GBA games, we talked about Entrance. Fade Crash actually got his big break right there. If you didn't know about him from way back in Warped, then you would find it. Like I didn't. The Entrance was my first introduction to him. Entrance as a character, he's really weird and kind of cool. Entrance was the first Crash game that didn't have Cortex really in it. It's one of the only Crash games actually that doesn't really feature Cortex like at all.
And that's only just because...
Except the multiplayer.
Because it's only because getting everything in Huge Adventure shows that when you beat Cortex, it's him, Engine, Dingo Dial, and Tiny. They... like Crash breaks the machine, and then like the
planetary minimizer ends up like
morphing into Mega Mix, and
which is super sick.
Yeah, super cool design.
Yeah,
especially in Nitro Field, but so like the story of Entrance was to be taken off that where
I also
Mega Mix and stuff.
I also got that a little wrong because I thought they were still in my Iceberg video. I said they were still fused as Mega Mix, and that's why Cortex wasn't in enchants. Well, I forget that when you outrun them and everything and Crash escapes, they do get split back into themselves, obviously. But I like to chalk it up to like maybe they were still just on the space station, and they were just adrift somewhere. Again, these are spin-offs, so it doesn't make.
I mean, probably, yeah.
It's whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I got that a little wrong because someone corrected me. I'm like, oh, that actually does make sense. That it's not for the reason that I said, but like, that's whatever. Radical Era. I mean, very briefly too, we'll talk about Crash and Spyro, I guess. I mean, we kind of already did. I said that I liked the fact that it was. I didn't mind that it was a party game, but everyone else was all up in arms of like, oh, why couldn't it be on console and a platformer? We were gonna get that with Crash 5, but that shit got canceled. So, yeah. But that also had the shit marketed out of it, like the fact that I mean, it was Crash and Spyro actually. I mean, they were only referenced in each other's games at that point. So when they actually got together, and you know, I was like, oh shit, like we're getting a 2-pack on some Pokemon shit of like Crash's perspective of crossing over with Spyro, and then Spyro's perspective of crossing over with Crash. And it was super sick. I still really like that they had like the fucking ads, and they had I forget how I got it, but I've got a little orange carrying case that has them both their faces on it, and there's a purple one that exists too that I never got a hold of, but I had the orange one. I think the games came with them, but I don't remember getting one with Spyro Orange. I got the one with Crash Purple, but it was orange because of Crash's color, I guess. It sounds a little weird, but I digress. Even on my shelf in my room, I can see it peeking out the Cortex collector's card. I really wish I got Coco, but like, they had Crash and Spyro characters, and if you bought like little gummy snacks at the store, you could potentially get like a Crash or Spyro card of a character from one of those series. It was sick. They marketed the shit out of it, and so that was like 2003 or so, I think. That whole era was like fucking awesome. I don't care what anyone says. That was such a like novel concept that they mashed them together and they got to actually cross over with each other, which I mean led to what we have more now with like how Spyro's in everything, like in Rumble and CTR and referencing Crash 4. But that just shows their bond and the fact that they're brothers.
Yeah,
man.
It goes to show that both series have been together. They stuck together since their conception. And
I mean, even before then, because the fucking Naughty Dog and Insomniac, Jason and fucking Ted Price, they got the same deal. Like with Universal, down the same route, on the same backlot, right either next door or like across the way from each other. So like, they were there, which is why I geeked out so hard when we went on the backlot tour. I was just like, holy shit, both of them were right there. So to see them get acknowledged together, like it was sick. I don't know. But the Radical Era changed up a lot. They really wanted to give new experiences to Crash, and so they, you know, made CTTR, which they built off the bones of Hidden Run, because Hidden Run came out first, and then this came out after, if I remember right, and that's why it feels so different from like CNK and CTR, but then also the gimmick then was being able to platform around and like collect stuff and do things, not necessarily in a true blue Crash way, like with warp rooms and stuff, but being able to go through the different like areas. And Tag Team is a standout Crash game and among one of my favorites for that. I don't know if I can say it's like a top favorite, but it's up there. It's definitely way up there.
I would say so for me too.
Because of how funny it is and how, like, again, just continuing the characters and their like designs and stuff. And
yeah, again, I like how unique they made the style of how you do things within the world. Because not only was their big seller the fact that because the game is called Tag Team, you could clash with another racer.
Crash Tag Team Racing. Yeah, sorry.
And, like team and essentially
fucking ad.
Essentially team up with like another player or whatever, or be on the with the CPU and whatnot, and shoot shit.
Or even when we would play together, and the fact that we would like flip between one of us would shoot and one of us would drive. Like it's really sick, and I obviously get
it was
that
a really
that's
cool
like,
concept. I thought it was pretty interesting, and yeah, so that like that's with in terms of the racing, and in terms of doing the exploration and stuff like that, like the story mode.
it was fun to platform around, find the dioramas.
It was the dioramas were really fun for me. Like,
Yeah.
I grew attached to those because I thought they were just hilarious.
They're funny.
And I like that as you go through and you're doing stuff, you unlock costumes for different characters, you unlock more cards to use, you unlock shortcuts in certain tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah, unlocking the shortcuts was really cool, and they would always net you with an extra crystal.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was really cool to see how they did that stuff and whatnot. And like, yeah, sure, it might have been a bit weird because of just how different it felt, but at the same time, it also kind of felt,
it makes it unique.
Yeah, like I think it felt natural in the sense of the world, of how they made it and stuff like that, and how everything kind of like works.
I mean, it screams amusement park, obviously, because that's what it is. A theme park, that's what it is. So like, if ever we go somewhere like that, IRL, I'm always gonna kind of have, so like I'll probably end up having like a tag team like the motorway like theme in my head or something, like, because it screams that kind of vibe of like just hanging out with friends, going to the park to look at the attractions. And obviously they've got like Disneyland parodies. I mean, everyone parodies Disneyland, you know, but Crash does it too. And like
Tag Team was also with Spiromouth, on the
OST. Yeah, it was Mark Barrel and Spiromouth together. Because, oh my god, yes, because again, sharing a lot of assets and people, same, you know, kind of people who worked on Simpsons Hit and Run, like when I would watch Fez play or whatever, like hearing like the different sound effects, exact sound effects and stuff that they would reuse in Titans and in Mind Over Mutant and in Tag Team, and Mark Barrel did the soundtrack for Hit and Run. So hearing the whimsical like whatever, like I'm just like, I'm listening to the soundtrack. I'm like, yes, they have the Simpsons theme in there, and it sounds Simpsons like, but every so often, because it's Mark Barrel's style, I'm like, I hear Tag Team and I hear Titans. Yeah, so Mark Barrel and Spiromouth solely, I think, took the helm on doing each of the parks. So Happily Ever Faster and Tyrannosaurus Rex and Mystery Island. But then doing the race tracks and stuff, those pieces, were the both of them.
I remember on one of the tracks, didn't they do like a Tetris motif? Like,
yes, because again, Spiromouth likes to do that. They like to like sample a bunch of stuff, and they would usually sample a lot of like old like classical pieces, again, like Blue Danube or whatever. There was also the I'm trying to think, there's other ones from like, they did it into Insanity first, and then there were a couple, and I'm not gonna even attempt to say the name because I'm gonna botch it, but it's the song that inspired the Tetris theme, basically. They did sample a bit of that for like when you're winning, because there was dynamic music too. It would actually change when you hit the final lap. It'll sound triumphant if you're in like in first or like kind of second. If you were like in third or fourth, fifth, I think it would be something a little different. And it would sound like really like dire in like last place or whatever. So shit like that was really cool. I don't know much to say about. The only other thing, again, is where the weird radical humor really begins, which it just feels like kind of a natural. At first, in Tag Team, it feels like a natural progression off of Twin Sanity with how comedic and like weird it is, and the raunchy humor. But then, like in Tag Team, you have that's where Crunch became the Mr. T parody, and a lot of them a lot of the characters just fucking quote like movies and shit and other stuff, and do like little in jokes and things. I mean, it was cool to have the credits where you could like listen to Nolan North and Lex Lang as Engine and Cortex, like making fun of like some of the crew and stuff, and like this guy's so dumb, blah 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 blah, or like, he can put M&Ms in order or whatever, like shit like that. It's
really funny.
So funny.
I also like how having those changes and stuff made the characters have way more personality to them as well.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, sure, maybe you might remember them for them saying something funny, but like it also changed up how the characters would act and
I mean,
feel and
Engine
stuff.
became a fan favorite in the Radical Era for sure.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking insane. And for me, of course, it was still, Crash and Coco. I mean, even the couple new characters we got, like Pasadena and Von Clutch, were quirky and they fit, If anything, bringing them back in Nitro Field showed that, yeah, people still obviously remember them. And I really do wish Willy Wonka Chicks would have been a racer in Nitro Field.
We probably would have gotten them had they continued with...
If they were able to continue a little more. I mean, they give us a lot of content. We'll get to that later.
We
but
would have gotten Amberly in CTR if they had continued, because I remember them saying that.
Amberly, yeah, but she was data mine, wasn't she, at one point?
I think
something like that.
They definitely said that she was planned, at least. So,
trying to think. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it for tag team. But when it comes to the Titans and Mind Over Mutant, like, that humor really does seep a bit more, even though they are platformer games.
Titans and Mind Over Mutant for me is like, that's kind of where the modern humor really showed, because like, especially Mind Over Mutant.
Mind Over Mutant really leaned into it.
Yeah,
doing like infomercials for the MV and Brio just being random and weird, and they just had a weird offshoot.
The Has cheeseburger meme.
Engine saying "pone." Yeah. Do you remember that? Pone is purely behind whatever the kids are saying these days.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
No, like, Miharu, like, loves that shit. She eats it up, and I ate it up too when I was a kid. It's just, and I don't even have much of a problem with it. It's just, it's weird for Crash. I don't know why, but later over time, and it's not even a negative. It's just something I'm like, boy, that was weird. That they were just randomly. This was a thing. But some of the humor, not the references to stuff, but just the pop culture references, but like some little tidbits of things they would say. I mean, it did make some of that made it in for certain characters into Nitro Field. Engine had a few lines that were lifted straight from Nitro Field, or sorry, from Titans and Tag Team, and I'm trying to figure out who else did too. Nina had a few that were lifted from Tag Team, and one from Titans. But Titans, again, yeah, they redesigned everybody, and I know it's the most divisive one. Everyone's like, fucking, it's not a platformer and you can't spin and fucking beating up monsters. I'm like, dude, we have Crash 1, 2, 3, Wrath of Cortex, and Twin Sanity. And you were complaining when Wrath of Cortex went too similar to stay safe, because that was Universal's decision. The project that was supposed to be Wrath was never supposed to be what we ended up getting, but that's what it turned into. Because it's my theory. I don't think Universal or anyone formerly from Universal Interactive Studios will ever admit it, but I'm pretty sure it's because they wanted it to stay safe and stay like it's the moneymaker. Crash was a moneymaker at that point, so it's like you just do what they did.
It was just that thing of
they did this
and it generated money. Do that thing again.
I mean, kind of. But now all of a sudden Titans comes out and it's super sick looking, and they do something really really different with the formula and the style, and all of a sudden people hate it, and it's like, what? Pick a lane. Like, do you want something that's similar to what you grew up with, or do you want something that's different and gives you bigger, unique fucking things, experiences and whatnot? Because I'm getting all of it and I'm eating. I'm fucking vibing with what they're... my entire life, I've just vibed with what Crash... Except for fucking Boom Bang, which again, just Mario Party ripoff, but it's Japanese and weird. But it's Japanese, it really shows. In some elements, it's kind of cool, but like, otherwise, to give like Coco like a new little look, and the Viscount's like, he could have been better if... I don't know, it's whatever. But like with Titans, I love Titans, and it's because it's such a fun game to play and run through, because you're still Crash a lot of the time on foot. But the gimmick, of course, the big thing is being able to take control of the giant enemies you're fighting. And so like the exact moves they're doing to you, which you can block and counter and perfect parry. No, it is Dark Souls. No, but but like being able to like dodge out of the way and use Aku to help attack and defend and stuff, and then using Aku ultimately to take them over is super sick. And being able to use those exact moves on the other, and then hopping from like mutant to mutant because like you do have like a health bar as them. But when you knock out a bunch at once and start using it, hopping from one to the other to, because they'll give you a couple titans and then they'll give you like a bunch of smaller fodder enemies to kill. And so being able to just spin and smack and do, and we have the Wii version, so we're using it to fucking like, we're using motion controls for that shit. And it sounds like it shouldn't work, but it's the version I know. I've never played the PS2 version of these games.
Yeah, we don't have any other version except
No, we don't. So playing Titans on the Wii, it worked. It still feels great, and it's actually really convenient when you drop a bunch of mojo. You can just use the pointer like it's Galaxy, like it's Mario Galaxy, to collect them. It's a lot more satisfying, especially because trying to spin in the early game is weird because they put a limit on how much, like, and I know why they did that, because they don't want you to like stun lock the enemies by spinning into them infinitely. You can do that later when you unlock, the more you upgrade your spin, and you get upgrades with the more mojo you collect. So you can upgrade your moves, you can unlock smaller, you can unlock new abilities for fighting that you can chain combos into. Like, it's sick. It's so cool. The fact that but it's still Crash, and it still feels like Crash. People say it doesn't. I fucking disagree. Like, the fact that, like, you're still in the jungles and the factories, and you're going through and you have to get to Cortex, it's still the same. And I'm not actually sure if this detail is a thing. It is in some of the later stuff, especially when you're getting closer to the Doominator, but, like, if you're able at some point to see, because it's hanging suspended on this giant, like, battleship, if you're able to see the Doominator from far away, like the way, like, Cortex Castle in Crash 1, that would be sick. I'm not sure if you actually can in the skybox of certain areas, but it would be cool if you could. I'm not sure if that's a thing, but it is kind of later, because there's one part where you're coming closer to the Doominator, and you can see it, like, way off on the back. One of the other cool, like, visuals I like, too, is when you're coming up to the Uka tree, and just being able to see out to, like, the mountainside, and it's all, like, sunset, and you can see the birds flying up. That shit's so cool! How do you hate this game? How can one look at that and go, that's garbage. Like, fuck you! I'm sorry, the game is so cool. And My Different Mutant is a little different because it has some cool set pieces and things, too. But I prefer the way a lot of the mutants work in Titans over Mind Over Mutant. And again, it's where the humor tries to be way too much like a kind of Saturday morning cartoon, which sounds like it should totally fit Crash like a glove. And like it does, but it still feels kind of weird for just how they write it and how they write the characters and the jokes.
Yeah, sometimes it feels a little forced in the sense where it's like they're trying to get you, like, you know for a fact that when they make a joke, they're trying to get you to laugh at it. And it's like, sometimes it's like...
Hello, Titans DS, which actually put a laugh track in there.
I was about to say, like, yeah...
If it's a sitcom?
Yeah, if we're talking about the different versions, I definitely prefer the Wii version of Titans more.
The console version.
Yeah, because I don't know what the fuck they were doing with the DS version of Titans.
Dude, no, it's not even like... So, it's the writing... Tiny's voice, for some reason, Nolan North did a really obnoxiously annoying voice for him. Also, for some reason, they couldn't get Amy Gross to voice Nina, so Debbie Derryberry's doing it, and it's just Coco. It is literally just Coco with, like, a bit more, which you think I would like, Coco with a bit more of, like, that sass, like a villainous sass to her, which you think I would be like, oh shit, that sounds cool, but, like, the fact that it's Nina, though, and it's like, Nina sounds way different from Coco, and she's not supposed to sound like this. And it's not, and I'm not knocking Debbie. Obviously, she has a very hyperly unique voice that whatever she's in, you can pretty much pick her out. But, like, I don't know. It doesn't really, it feels like it was, like, done really quick. Yeah. Not to say that she didn't give her all to voice Nina super briefly in this, like, weird port, but, like, I mean, she even barely has any lines as Coco because she gets kidnapped in Titans, so like she's barely in the game. But like in Titans DS, to like voicing Coco and Nina is just, there's no real between the two.
Yeah.
Because she makes them sound so similar.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that for those different versions, they have unique mutants that aren't in the console versions.
Oh, fuck, that's right, too. But also the story's weird because, like, in Titans DS, there's, like, masks, like, not elementals, and it's before the quantum mask. There's, like, these otherly masks that, like, Cortex is trying to capture to use for whatever the fuck. And then somehow that, I don't see it ever in the cutscenes I've watched from Titans DS. I don't even see that plot point come back in. At one point at the end, they turn to babies. Cortex, Crash, and Nina, I think, all turn into babies. And I'm like, oh, we're doing this? All right. What the fuck?
All this now.
I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, okay, this game is fucking weird.
Can you believe that? Like, sometimes I think about Titans and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, these fucking games had many different versions to them. Like, there was even
a GBA version.
Yeah, there's that. There was also...
Uses the prototype design for Crash for the. Do you remember the prototype for Titans? Do you remember Crash jacking?
Yeah.
His early look, they actually kept that for the ports.
I also remember how Titans was on fucking mobile.
It's true.
Like, on different mobile versions, and it's like, what the fuck? They really thought that this was going to be like that smash hit.
I mean, I don't know. But Titans and Mind Over Mutant are just so unique. I keep using that word a lot, but like, there are so many standout games in the series that people, I mean, yes, acknowledge, but they start having their opinions of like, but the gameplay and the way the characters and the like get in the way of just seeing like how a lot of the fun that these games have, and like.
Well, I was gonna say, because all these games, like, you would think, because like how we've been talking about how different most of them are, it's just because Crash has hopped around from developer to developer, and so it's all about how like those devs make the games, how they treat the characters, how they write the stories.
It's their interpretation.
You know,
there is no real one like through line plot through this entire franchise.
It's very rare that they ever do like
connect
one
them.
dev does a sequel to connect everything together.
I mean, obviously, you
that's
have
just how different each one is. Like, I mean, the most would be like Titans and Mind Over Mutant.
Well, too, because Traveler's Tales, the main branch is what did Wrath of Cortex. Traveler's Tales Oxford did Twinsanity, so it was still the same team. Well, not the exact same team, but it was the same dev studio, and they were able to kind of like, so they bridged, because again, making the Wrath of Cortex joke in Twinsanity, but then also saying out the gate when you first boot the game up, it's taking place 3 years after the 100% ending of Wrath. So those two games connect to each other, and again, Wrath is supposed to take place after 3 somehow. I'm assuming it's not taking place after the 100% ending, but it's about time does, but you know, whatever. But like, Wrath and Twinsanity are clearly connected. I forget where I read this. It was a long time ago, but supposedly Titans takes place 1 year after Twinsanity, and there is a Twinsanity reference in Titans because the little voodoo bunnies talk about Uka Uka having a body again, and they name drop Twinsanity as a fourth wall joke, but it does technically kind of connect them. Uka Uka's fight sucks. Oh god, it's really tough. Nina's fight's tough too. For a while there, it was hard for me to be able to beat her on my own, because the first time I think I beat her, we played together.
I think so.
Fucking Carbon Crash. But yeah.
And then the hiatus happened after Mind Over Mutant.
Yeah, Mind Over Mutant. I mean, having like the unique I think cutscenes, like all the cutscenes that mainly delivered story, were all animated in different art styles and stuff. Is really cool. The
final one was essentially like Dragon Ball
parody,
like anime-esque.
Like Bright, I didn't invent this. Bert Meyer did. It's not evil. Why it's in the pile? Evil recycling. Yep. I don't know what that means or why that felt random. Sometimes shit is just random. They milk Uka Uka. I don't know. Uka Uka basically calls them, I don't know if I can even say what it's supposed to be. I can probably say what he said. Even then, he calls them short bus students, and at first I didn't even know what that meant. I'm like, what is he even saying there? I didn't even know what he was meaning by that. And now that I know what he means, I'm like, oh, that's That's not a joke you can make today.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's a collar tugger right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the humor was weird. It was cool that you actually had to fight a mutated Cortex. He's not that different. He's just big and buff and weird. But
in his tidy whities.
yeah, his tiny Walter Whiteys. But but he that was kind of cool. That had not been done before. Cortex actually mutating himself for once. But yeah, after that we got those weird like Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 2, Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 3D, whatever the fuck, like weird little spin-offy racing mobile games for iOS and Android, and then the hiatus.
It's where Yaya Panda got her start.
Yes,
I guess.
Yaya Panda showed up there. Once upon a time, Ripperoo looked really weird. They made him look like an actual kangaroo, and it's unnatural as hell.
Yeah, it looks weird.
It's funny when people point out he looks like a dog, and it's like, yeah, he has more dog-looking features than kangaroo features. But then when they make him an actual kangaroo, it's like, oh, that looks weird. Go back, too far. 2 hours in, and we're finally getting to the last bit. Post-hiatus, which is the stuff we have now. Started with all those teases where we got the PS4 ad. Well, they acknowledged Crash in the PS4 console reveal event because they had their like cool intro, which is fucking legendary. I love that intro.
Oh yeah.
Regardless of Crash being in there or not, it was still
really cool.
It was still cool. But they played one of the old PS1 Crash 1 ads.
I think it wasn't
where he's calling out Mario.
Yeah, it was the one calling out Mario.
Which was cool because again acknowledging like the old roots going into where now it's PS4, the next generation, and then Sean Layden had the shirt, the infamous shirt fiasco, because every time he would tease something was coming, he'd wear a shirt that would correspond to whatever. He did it for, I think, God of War. He did it for Vib Ribbon. He did it for Crash. And then later, after all of that, and people caught on, he did it for even Medieval. They straight up treated him wearing the shirt as the reveal of like, hey, we're doing a Medieval remake. And
that's why it's always funny that when Ensign was showing off and he jokingly would like open his jacket.
He's like, yeah, no shirt today.
Yeah.
I'm like, you fucker. Like, you had it planned all along. You knew exactly what was happening and you knew what was going on and you were biding your time.
Yeah, I do like that before all that, the only thing that we had for Crash in anything was in Skylanders, like him and Cortex in Imaginators.
Yeah, it was really sick.
Which I think their interpretation for them was pretty cool, interesting.
I was, well, I mean, obviously because of how I felt about Skylanders, really strongly at that time. I still kind of feel that way now, but I've eased up very much on it. It's not something I ever truly plan to revisit. Again, I've got like subscriber incentives to play like Spyro's Adventure again on stream. Because listen, man, if you want to see me suffer through Skylanders, got some subscribble. But I mean, Skylanders was an interesting concept, but I saw what made it cool and appealing to kids. It is literally the fact that Spyro's in it, and I don't think they treated him right. That's a lot of where.
No, I mean, yeah, true.
My kind of, well, I guess back in the day I would have called it hatred, but my like disdain for it starts. Then it became, when I actually played the games, they babied the fuck out of you, which Spyro never did, and that pissed me off. And the fact that they started cranking out sequels and more toys, which meant give us your money. So it was all, and it felt like, thankfully, from that angle, I was glad they weren't shilling Spyro. Like, Spyro was becoming like a whore in some kind of a way. Of like, just using that face because it's Spyro, give us your money. You got to get the toys, and you got to, for every year. Like, I didn't want it to really become that. And thankfully, Spyro wasn't used for that. But Spyro was kind of, sort of half used for like the jump off point to kickstart Skylanders. I mean, they called the first one Spyro's Adventure, but Spyro's barely in it. And they don't give him much time in the actual game as like building him up to be like the hero of Skylands or whatever. He's a hero of Skylands, but that's whatever. Point being, all these games later, and Imaginators happens, and it's the last one of the mainline. There's only 6 mainline games and a bunch of like offshoot ones from like on DS and whatever. And then all of a sudden there's rumors that Crash is coming to Skylanders. And I was like, fuck no. Why would you do that? Like, they're going to fuck him up the way they fucked up Spyro. And then they didn't. Thankfully. Because you can, again, go back and see in my initial E3 2016 reaction to Crash that the minute Sean went, he'll appear first, though, in Skylanders Imaginators. I'm like, oh, God, really? Really we're doing this? And then I saw his look and I'm like, I don't know, like, he looks a little weird. And it was not me trying to like immediately hate, I was just torn, because holy fuck, Crash is back, but then like we have to see him in this first, like, if you say so. So I was a little apprehensive, but then the B-roll footage came out and we actually got to see Thump and Wumpa Islands and all the references, and you can see Cortex Castle in the background, and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, what, huh? Like, they're actually giving him the care that I wanted to see for Spyro.
Having Fate Crash be the boss of that area.
Fate Crash be the boss, doing Cortex's little minigame, and Uka Uka's there. I'm like, oh shit. I did not know at all he was going to be in the game. Having Aku there, and the fact that it was our first instance of seeing classic designed Aku with Greg Eagle's voice, and the fact that he wasn't trying to be all comedic and radical era Aku, I'm like, oh, okay, like, and they brought the dance back and all that stuff. I'm like, holy fuck, like, all right. And the more I was looking at like the way the models were moving and animating and the actual moves you get to do, again, punching and kicking and stuff, that was the last thing we knew Crash to do, because it was Mind Over Mutant was the last thing that we had. And so seeing him in Skylanders, I'm like, shit, like, okay. The fact that, I mean, even combining 2 elements from 2 different Crash games, one of his like super abilities or whatever, to be like launching up in the air with the jetpack from Crash 2 and then raining down shit with the bazooka from 3. I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome.
I forgot that was one of his moves.
That was sick. And like, just incorporating the fucking yo-yo into it, and like being able to like spin TNT crates and like other stuff around to blow people up. And it was a weird fucking experience when I actually, because my only thing when I first was like, okay, you've twisted my arm, I'm gonna fucking get this game because I want to play the Crash stuff. And at first I was like, only the Crash stuff, I don't give a fuck about everything else, just give me Crash. And after the Skylanders elements that were in, even just because you have to play the intro first, and Spyro is around, I'm like, okay, even Spyro's got more of like actual fucking screen time in the story. Like, okay, like we're actually focusing on a small group of Skylanders as the ones that are like pushing the story forward, and Spyro's at the forefront. Like, that's what I wanted. Huh? Like, I'm like, is this like the better, like, is this like a good Skylanders game? And the little things I took issue with in Spyro's Adventure, like when you have to like shake the fuck out of the controller on the Wii to like open the treasure chest, and it took forever to open, and it was just weird stuff like that I'm just like, and the fact that they tutorial you at like every corner, and someone has to talk down to you like it's fucking Dora the Explorer, and it's the shit that I didn't like about it. And they kind of like eased up on it a little, and they were trying to like, it was just more about the story and where the characters were going, and I'm like, okay, that's what I prefer in something like this. And even they still kept those chests you have to shake, but the animation was way fucking faster. And I'm like, okay, they made small improvements to the things I didn't like gameplay wise. They're not really tutorializing. The level design was still very simplistic. Again, it's a kid's game first and foremost, But the fucking kids game. Look how we talked about Crash 1 or Spiral 1. Like those, the kids games for us back in the 90s were legit. They didn't give a fuck if holding your hand or whatever. No.
Yeah. The kids games back then was fuck you, kid. We're not teaching you shit.
Well, we're gonna be more clever in how we teach you. We're gonna teach you visually and not have a character fucking stop your progress to go, hey, Skylander, this is how you jump. It's like, fuck you, I know how to press the button.
Yeah, it's essentially like, hey, you want to learn our game? Learn from experience.
Also, you couldn't jump in like the first couple games for Skylanders. Anyway, it's a good thing they introduced jumping in Skylanders because they built platforming for Thumpa Wumpa Islands around, tried to mimic Crash's style. You could still run through Crash's level as another Skylander, but of course they're like, Crash is stronger in this area, so of course you want to, they're incentivizing you to play as them in their own fucking level, obviously. But keeping a lot of the elements the same and stuff, it was sick. It was cool. But it was a weird experience once I was like, okay, I finished the Wumpa Islands. I'm going to play the rest of the game to get my money's worth out of it, and I want to see how much more they've actually improved. And like I said, they had level design still very not difficult, still very much for kids, like small kids. I liked Fizz World. That shit was awesome. The fact that when you flip, it's all abstract and all trippy, and it's very much meant to be kind of an allegory for being on drugs, because it's like very trippy, it's very like 70s music and shit. That will factor in later too, so I'm not just saying that randomly. But it was weird playing as Crash, defeating Chaos, who's Super Saiyan as dubstep plays in the background.
I was about to say, yeah.
That shit was weird. But that meant Crash was back, and it was cool. And then actually getting to see Insane proper, I'm like, holy fuck. Because, of course, here I am crying my eyes out because I'm like, never did I think I was going to see, like, my first boss reimagined or, like, stuff like that. And
yeah,
it was cool.
Seeing all the teases, seeing all the B-roll coming out and all the things that were coming out for the game and stuff for the trilogy pack and stuff, it was really cool to see everything reimagined and recreated and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot that changed and stuff here and there, and we've all had our nitpicks and so, but overall, I mean, I just fucking streamed Insane again on Destination Mark not that long ago, and it's still fun. It's still different. I had still to get used to the fact that the physics feel different, stuff like that, and they try to keep it as close as they could, but it's still different. But I mean, I got to the end in like under 2 hours or so, and we even had enough time to play Crash 2 in that stream. So like, it's still solid. I still really like it a lot, and it was them trying to kind of, it was Vicarious Visions, and it was so awesome that they had Vivi be the ones to do Insane because we really trusted them for doing the GBA games, and so and Nitro Kart and stuff like that. So for them to come back and remake the first 3 games again, Activision still, as it's always the publisher. It seems like it's always the publisher's fault for a lot of stuff that happens with this kind of stuff. But like, I think they put pressure on them because they needed to have that shit out in 2017, and making 3 games in like not that long of a time, it's like, what the fuck?
Especially trying to fit them all on one disc as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
But I mean, it's still, it's a wonder that it's a miracle they even did what they were able to pull that off. But too, from an aesthetic standpoint, it seemed like they were trying to start slowly combining stuff that we last remembered of Crash from the Radical era, and then obviously the stuff we grew up with from the more classic like Night Dog era. So they were incorporating a lot of different things. Like, it's still kind of comedic. They added some little comedic bits to the they gave themselves enough freedom to be able to not mess with the story or mess too much with the cutscenes, but they did little additions here and there to make them wacky and silly, a little more so than from how Night Dog did it. But it just helps to kind of like make everything feel a little more kind of combined, I guess. And like, it's silly He's as silly as ever.
Yeah,
And
I like that for the cutscenes for Insane. They gave the characters, they still kept the characters' personalities like how they were originally and stuff like that.
no, yeah. And for the fact that a lot of the actors that Naughty Dog got, some of them passed away even back then for Insane stuff. Like William Hootkins was the original voice for Dingodile, and he passed away a long time ago. So they had to make do with who they had and who last voiced those characters. But that was a treat, being able to see like Lex do Clancy Brown's Cortex. Now, in my opinion, and I said this in some of the character analysis videos that I've done, I said it particularly for Cortex, like you can hear, or at least I can hear, kind of the very consciousness of being like, okay, I have to sound like, because I know how the fans can get, so I need to sound like Clancy, or for Greg Eagles, I need to sound like Mel Winkler. For me, I was like, holy shit, getting to see all those previews and getting to hear, again, Mel Winkler, rest in peace. Like, I fucking love him. Like, his voice is so fatherly and so, like, on that lower register and so, like, soothing, that it's almost, I mean, basically he was, like, ASMR for me before that ever really became, like, a thing. Because I remember as a kid listening to his hints and stuff in CTR, to where I could quote some of them, the TNT Crate one specifically, but even his dialogue from Crash 3 and the little hints he would give you and stuff like what time trial mode was and going and saving your progress because you beat the boss, good job, now go to the next warp room. So to hear Greg Eagles do that, and only knowing Greg Eagles as Aku to be really over the top comedic in Titans and all that, and then having like a bit of a smaller role and something that's a little kind of more serious-ish for Aku, like in Skylanders, but then hearing him do Mel Winkler, I was like, that's sick. That's super cool. And even bringing back actors we never, like Corey Burton coming back as both Engine and Entropy, which he last voiced the both of them together in Wrath of Cortex, where a lot of people criticized his direction and his delivery, rather, for them. Even though, again, Miharu likes, engines, hoka hoka from Wrath. But the fact that he must have been given much better direction, because he sounds a lot better. Oh my god, I love his Entropy. The fact that he sounded very bizarre as Entropy in Wrath, but then hearing him in Ensign, I'm like, oh my god, he sounds that's Corey Burton? Like, Engine having the filter on his voice again. I liked it. John DiMaggio coming back as Uka and as Tiny. And it's John DiMaggio. He's doing his thing. He knows the characters. It was really cool. Yeah, hearing Lex Lang do a more serious Cortex in Crash 2 Insane, it was really cool. And Debbie, staying as Coco. And a lot of them stayed that way going into Nitro Field. Not John DiMaggio as Uka. Or actually, no. Yes, John DiMaggio as Uka, but doing something completely fucking different and weird. To access a warp pad.
A warp pad.
Do you remember that shit? Why did he do that? I really liked. I mean, his voice was filtered to hell in Insane, but and Clancy's was not like at all in the original Crash 3. But I did grow to like that sound for Uka's voice, and then they just completely did away with that and said, make him sound like Otto from fucking Simpsons. And I'm like, that's a choice.
That was a thing.
That was
a direction.
Tokyo Drift. But I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. But Nitro Field, my god, it went so far beyond any of our expectations in the most like positive way imaginable. The fact that it started as just a mere little remaster of like a remake of the old racing game, and then becoming a fucking tribute to the whole series.
Yeah, Nitro Field is the definition of there is no reason for this to go this hard, but it does.
I mean, it's
fucking sick. I love it, especially with the fact of how they were. Again, I always reiterate it, but I just really like it. The way they made the characters and how the direction for them for how they present the characters and stuff, especially reintroducing all of the previous characters from the different games, like bringing back Velo and bringing back Von Clutch. And
I mean,
stuff like that.
Nitro Field is the Smash Ultimate of the Crash series.
Pretty
There are
much.
still like a few stray characters that never got to make it in again, like Willy Wumpa Cheeks, or like, for me, I wanted to see Evil Coco, or like the Viscount even. But like, other than that, or Amberly, everyone else literally was there. Like Brio finally makes it into a racing game, and fucking Komodo Joe and Mo, and like Megamix, and fucking
everyone's favorite Crate.
well, even going into the memes, dipping into the memes and making an Iron Checkpoint create a character. Even reaching into
chicken.
Oh God, King Chicken, William P. Jesus. But even dipping into like, and it was actually false history, but even still trying to acknowledge the history and giving us Hasty, who was based off of Fasty, who wasn't even a fucking CTR character like we thought he was. Josh Mansell, I think, or not Josh Mansell, what? He's music. Charles Zambilis, I think is who it was. Later came out and said like, hey, so everyone thinks this guy was meant for CTR, like, but he was a cut character. He was just a dude I doodled that ended up in the portfolio. And it's like, well, that's weird, because, I mean, he looks like a Crash character. And the fact that it came around the time of CTR, and he's in a fucking, like, aviator getup, like, it just made sense. He's a hippo, and they made Hasty like a moose, but he kept the aviator stuff. And but the fact that they created a whole original-ass character for Nitro Field, who hasn't appeared since, but specifically to acknowledge that history was like Beanox, we did not deserve Beanox. Like, they did it for the passion. Even when Microsoft, or what? I'm getting everyone mixed up. Even when Activision was like, yo, put microtransactions in that shit, they were like, you got it, fam. And they shoved it in the smallest shoved it into the smallest corner that I keep forgetting that they even did it. Because you could tell they did not want to do that shit. So they're fucking legends for that. But like everyone, like fucking Pasadena, Von Clutch, acknowledging a lot of, you know, the radical era, acknowledging the radical era, fucking finally, and thank you. When the fans do nothing but bash the shit out of Tag Team and Titans and Mind Over Mutant, Beanox comes in and says, no, it's part of the history. It's part of the franchise. We're going to fucking acknowledge it. So you got Evil Coco and Evil Crunch with the NVs from Mind Over Mutant as unlockable skins that came later, of course, but they're still there. Having the characters from Tag Team as come back to be playable. Unfortunately, again, no like Willy Wumpa Jinx or whatever, but it's fine. A park drone would have been really funny too, but whatever. Just acknowledging so much of that era was just so cool.
Yeah, I think even some of like the decals that you could put on like the cart.
The carts themselves from Tag Team came back.
Yeah, they definitely did make like a lot of carts and bring back some classic ones and stuff.
Brought back the C&K carts.
Yeah.
All the characters from C&K are in there. Little Velo, Big Velo, all the bosses. Everyone's there.
But yeah, like I think some of the decals that you could put on the carts were also had like references to them as well, and I think that was where more of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant references were, because I mean they do look like just decals you would have on like a car or like a tattoo or something. And yeah, even then, like all that too, the level of fucking customization you can have in Nitro Field was
the only thing
good.
The one thing I wish they introduced was the ability to save your setups.
Yeah, but it introduced my fucking OCD of fucking matching a character's costume with the card and the setup and
Miharu and I did the exact same thing.
I know, it's like fuck, man.
And actually, we would pair with each other because I remember during those days, you know, when Nitro Field was still going very strong, and we were, you know, trying to grind for content to go through the Grand Prix and all that. We would just race each other, but she would let me win or I would let her win a lot of the time. So, because I would do online with like other guys and stuff, and she and I would do late night sessions together and just grind it out. And we would do pair ups like she would be Tana and I'd be Pinstripe, and we would like, and we would like find a way to color code with each other and with our cards and setups and shit. Oh, those days were.
Also, people are fucking beasts with when they were brought back Blue Flame and shit.
Oh my god.
And it was like, I don't know about going online to read.
Well, that's
like,
I
never did like
that's
maybe once or twice.
Yeah,
it's like I can't.
If I ever went online,
too good for me.
Yeah, if I ever went online, it would only be mainly with like friends, and we would theme streams and stuff. I mean, do we have to remind you of the fucking fiasco that was burgers versus pizza? Because Crash Team Racing does not have team fucking color coded like Mario Kart or like Sonic does. You can have different teams, and you can't.
Well, technically, it does. It's just randomized. I think. I don't know.
I don't know. It's
something
stupid.
like that. It's not a very good system, though. I will say.
I mean, if I had to criticize, Nitro Field in any way, I wish they had team stuff like that, and I wish they had like
more freedom of like who you want to be on a team and stuff like that. Because sometimes it would, depending on who it is you're playing with, it would be very unfair.
Yeah. So saving loadouts.
So it's like,
well, the thing is, because we have a lot of friends who are speedrunners and stuff and know how to control the Blue Flame, and I play casually. I don't know how to control it for very long. I can control it for a while and I can get there, but I can't keep it. But see, Bunox also developed Nitro Field with that in mind because that was not an intended mechanic in the original CTR. That was something that speedrunners and other people found and exploited, that can be a thing. And they nicknamed it Blue Fire, if I remember right, or Sappy Fire, or whatever the fuck it was called. And so, eventually, they put Blue Flame, literal blue flames in the back of your exhaust, and they made it a mechanic. Which was cool, in hindsight, and they made it sort of easy for you to get in certain like ramps or off certain speed strips, but like keeping it was the hard part. And we have friends who know how to keep it and stuff, which means they're and then with the fucking engines and the different classes of acceleration and speed and all that, like if you have a handle on it, which I never did, then you were like basically unstoppable. And so the unfortunate part at that point, once more of our friends started to get that good, and I have no desire to reach those heights, I'm like, it's hard to play with them now because, and mainly too, for content, because if people are watching my end, and we've got those friends in there that are overlapping, it's like, okay, well, then you're watching us get like third, or if not last,
it will mostly be like dead last, if not maybe like somewhere in the middle, maybe. But,
yeah. Well, it got so bad where we had to ask them to handicap themselves.
Pretty much. Yeah.
To try and make it a little easier, like a little bit of a balanced playing field.
Yeah, but like besides all that stuff, like Nitro Field itself is essentially just CTR plus.
CTR C and K plus. Yeah. I mean, even the fact that they come out saying, "Hey, it's CTR, but we're also doing C and K content." Because out the gate they said we're doing a bunch of content. It's not going to be just the base experience, but the base experience is what they teased first, and then in the very first trailer we were like, "Oh shit, it's the carts from Nitro Kart." So there's our hint that there's more than just the base CTR stuff. Then they come out in the state of play and go, "Hey, not only are there outfits and costumes and stuff, but also there's the C and K tracks," which we didn't even recognize at first. Somehow it took me a while to put it together that it was the C and K tracks.
Yeah, because they definitely changed those up to better fit with CTR's stuff. Since
the anti-gravity isn't there anymore, but
yeah, because up to that point we were like everyone was debating if they were going to keep those.
That mechanic in.
Yeah, that mechanic in those sections of the
so like Out of Time was like completely like retooled at the bit where you go around the clock. The clock's still there, which was cool. Of course, they have to acknowledge it, but like you don't drive up the clock anymore, or like Electron Avenue. The original was like okay. It had a lot of those anti-gravity bits, but I actually really liked what they did with Electron Avenue.
I prefer it. I prefer Nitro Field's
and Nitro Field's soundtrack.
I just prefer the Nitro Field versions of the CNK tracks, honestly.
The soundtrack, having the legacy and the remastered soundtrack. For Insane soundtrack, I've always said it, and I still stick by it. Crash 1's Insane soundtrack is really weird, and they changed a lot about it that I didn't really care for. But 2 and 3 Insane, their soundtracks seem to be closer to the original songs, just made more, a little more modern, a little more fresh sounding. But no, they made the tracks, the soundtrack for Nitro Field very energetic, and I actually prefer keeping. For Spyro, for Reignited, I prefer keeping the original music on. For Nitro Field, I prefer actually keeping the legacy, or the modern music on.
For me,
because it's for a lot of tracks they got it real close, and it sounds so good.
Yeah, I do like the remastered OST for Nitro Field, but I usually just play with the legacy music on and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's also Nitro Field is also the one game where I was like, yeah, I'll try and go for the platinum relics and the story mode tracks and which I did, and which wasn't super hard. There was only like a few tracks that were just kind of like, well, what the fuck? But
Digital entropy. Fucking everyone flaunted that when they would get it.
Yeah.
Or the master wheels. I'm like, I just whatever. I don't care.
Or even the fucking Oxide and Velo decals.
Oh yeah, the champion decals. I don't think I didn't get those.
I am close to Oxide, but I never got it.
Dude,
I can't. Fuck doing.
You haven't
videos,
haven't even emptied out the fucking like shop or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
What was it called? It wasn't called the shop. Was it called like the garage or something? What was it called?
I don't remember.
the shop, whatever. Yeah. Where you could use your Wumpa coins to buy skins and decals, and we wiped that out like a long time ago. Like it was really satisfying to wipe that whole thing out. All the content they had put up at that point. The Beanox update was really cool because the Geary never had a legendary skin, and they finally gave him one, and it's actually a reference to their old Beanox mascot. I'm like, oh, that's sick. And that's where they gave us the lab assistant and stuff like that. Beanox like decals and things. Like, it was cool.
Baby Cortex.
All right. Well, the fact they have babies in general is Baby Crash, Baby Coco, Baby Cortex, and Entropy. But they literally exist because of the Crash 3 ending.
I know.
So it makes sense to put them in, but Baby Crash and Coco were weird.
Especially pairing them up with Baby T.
The Grand Prix were cool. Obviously, the Sparta one was like one of the biggest highlights.
Dude,
it was so sick.
See the fucking announcment of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, at E3 2019
was so fucking cool.
Yeah, you and I were in the hotel.
That was right after us reacting to Banjo.
Was it after?
I think it was after.
I thought it was before.
It was either before or after. I don't remember.
I think it was before.
But it was around the same time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whether it was before then or coming off the heels of fucking freaking out over Banjo.
That day was insane. That was day one.
Yes.
That was insane.
It was fucking crazy.
We were literally getting ready to go over.
Yeah, it was like really early. Not like really early, but it was early in the morning. Yeah. And we were getting ready to go over there.
Yeah.
And fucking, oh my god, dude. It was just like, what the fuck?
And then after that, we got Crash on the Run, which they tried doing a mobile game again. And it has a lot of weirdness in the progression, but the gameplay loop is actually really fun. I never had an appropriate device to play it on because I'm still a little old school. I don't have any kind of fucking iPhone or some Android smartphone, whatever, Galaxy IG 3000. I don't have any of that shit. The Galaxy I did have was not one of the later models or whatever that could play like all these games or whatnot, but the games I did have on my iPod, were like the older Crash mobile games. But I did one of my phones, I think it was the Galaxy one I had, did run Crash on the Run for a while there. It was like an earlier version of it that someone had ended up giving me like a link for or something. So I got to play a little bit of it. And I liked it. It was fun. It being a runner, it made sense for Crash. It had a lot to it, which was cool.
Yeah, also bringing in more references, bringing back more things as well.
Bringing back Mojo, bringing back a lot of skins that were, again, references to other stuff. Even, again, acknowledging the Radical Era. Having Scorporilla and, like, some of the other Titans there. Mm-hmm. And having, like, stuff like that. Again, more Spyro stuff and all of that. It was really, really cool. Even Coco having, like, more of her, like, little technical kind of side. where you had to like bring her materials so she can make stuff for you to be able to like unlock other areas or something like that. Was really cool. I never got to experience like all the seasons and stuff because they did like what one was themed around female entropy from Crash 4, which we're gonna get into in a minute, and then one was themed around Spyro. So
the fact that they also brought back Mr. Crumb,
Mr. Crumb,
which is like
and Tree Theme, both of those guys from 99X. People did want to see him in Nitro Field, but he ended up in Crash on the Run. Even bringing back a scrapped character, the fucking pink elephant from Twin Sanity.
I forgot about that.
I was like, oh my god. they're really reaching into like the bag of like unused scrap shit.
Really went into the archives for that one.
But of course we get the Toys for Bob era. And at this point, because Toys for Bob are the ones that, you know, of course, created Skylanders and they did, you know, Spyro's Adventure. They flip-flopped with Vivi on doing because Vicarious Visions were the ones that did Imaginators. And then their immediate next game after that was Insane. But Toys for Bob did a couple of them too, and they're the ones, like I said, that started it with Spyro's Adventure. So that was my first introduction to Toys for Bob, and I gotta say, personally, for me, it wasn't a very good introduction to them. I'm like, Toys for Bob, the fuck's wrong with you? And all that stuff, and I'm like, I didn't like the way they handled Spyro's design and stuff. And
I will say, you having criticisms with Toys for Bob then was like how people had criticisms for Bloober Team for Silent Hill 2 remake, where like
crazy
because and it was for a reason, because that, like, to quickly go on this little tangent, that team, their last game was called, what was it called? I believe it was called The Medium, and it was a game about, I guess was supposed to be about mental health or something. Okay. It was supposed to be kind of like a Silent Hill-esque kind of game, but no one liked it. Like, nobody liked that game.
That's crazy.
And
considering that we just beat Silent Hill 2 not that long ago, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, but yeah, like the message that, because like it was one of those, supposed to be also one of those games where it was supposed to have like a message at the end and whatnot, like one of those things where it's like,
yeah,
you know, and the message is really where people were rubbed the wrong way about the team, the other devs, because the end of that game was like, it was essentially like, oh, if you have mental problems, you are a burden to people or something like that. Fuck? So that's why when it was announced for Silent Hill 2 Remake, the Bloober Team...
What the fuck are these guys?
Yeah, everyone was like, how the fuck... Why are you touching this? Why are you touching this beloved game of this series and whatnot? So it's the same thing.
Well, I mean, again, talk about a turnaround. And it does, for me, again, me personally, I'll speak for myself, it does still tie into Toys for Bob, where it's like, yeah, the turnaround, because I thought Silent Hill 2 was great. They're going to remake the first one now. That's what they're doing currently, and I'm excited to see that. And Chronos was actually pretty well received. So, and I still have to play it after return to that. But, yeah, with Toys for Bob, you know, doing Skylanders, but even though the games were starting to get like a little better, I guess, as they went along, and by Imaginators, even though it wasn't Toys for Bob, I still saw what was happening. But around that time, or a little after that time, you know, Insane comes out, it does great, and then Toys for Bob does Reignited, and at first, I still did have a bit of like, okay, this is Spyro the Dragon, this is not fucking Skylanders, you have to treat this like Spyro the Dragon. And thankfully, they immediately put my mind at ease when they did that little interview of like, not an interview, but it's more of like a, hey, we're Toys for Bob, and this is what we're doing with Spyro, and they came right out the gate in that little piece and said, you know, we cut our teeth with on the franchise with Skylanders, but we understand that the Spyro you see in Skylanders is different from the Spyro from, you know, what you grew up with, so we're trying to stick true to that memory and stuff, and it's like, okay, fucking thank you, you get it. Yes, this is going to be Spyro the Dragon, it's not going to be fucking Skylanders, thank God. And for as much as we still have little things, and people still have things here and there with, you know, Reignited, it was great, it's still fun, and I don't know when this is coming out or whatever, but like Jerry and I were almost done with Reignited. We should have been done with it years ago, but point being, it gave me I wouldn't say hope, but rather I saw Toys for Bob in a different light since then, because I think for as many of the criticisms that people like me had with Skylanders and how I felt that they were treating Spyro and all that, and then them, heralding this remake of the first 3 Spyro games. And of course, I'm over here again. People think I'm more so on the Crash side than the Spyro side. I love my boys. They're my guys. I love Crash. I love Spyro. I would have fucking not have stood for it if they treated Spyro in Reignited in any way other than what it's supposed to be treated. With the utmost respect, the utmost care, and it's not Skylanders. But they understood that. Mm-hmm. So, in doing all of that and how that ended up, I'm like, okay. Come to find Toys for Bob are working on Crash. I'm like, well, let's see what they're going to do. And we got Crash 4 and Crash Team Rumble out of it. Mm-hmm. And my God, I'm like completely like, as far as how they're doing Crash and Spyro, I'm completely like, okay, no, Toys for Bob are fucking awesome. Like, they are great. And it's not anything even... Whatever they have done or did or whatever on Skylanders doesn't even factor in anymore. At this point, I'm just like, they understand what Crash and Spyro are. Mm-hmm. Fucking thank God. So, like, they learned off of Skylanders with how Spyro was done and everything. I'm not sure how much of that was so conscious of, like, well, we're doing our own version of him. Or, like, trying to keep to whatever Spyro was at that time. And, like, Spyro was in a transitionary period anyway after Legend. But, like... Crash, I'm just like, you cannot fuck Crash up. And already, me thinking that you messed up Spyro a bit there, like, I don't want to just, I'm so apprehensive. But then, like, again, even though it wasn't them, Imaginators started to ease it, and then Toys for Bob doing Reignited was like, okay. And so then now Crash 4 happens, and I'm fucking on board from day one. You saw our reactions, hopefully, over on Destination Mark. Back in the day, 2020, it happened, and I was, like, so fucking on board. Like, the fact that they really went in on trying to, again, just blur that line between, like, it's classic Crash. It's the Crash you know. It's the Crash you love. But we still have taken very much more in the background, not so much in the foreground too much anymore, still some cues from, like, the Radical Era and some other eras where it's still got the comedy. It still is, this buddy adventure. It's Crash and Coco going through the multiverse. Sick as hell. Mm-hmm. With Cortex and how he's portrayed, Dingo being retired after one adventure, I guess, and opening up a diner and Tana having a whole fucking tragic backstory. But how expressive they are and how, like, just fucking, like, fun the game is when you're going through it just from beginning to end, because of course they know now, obviously, but the completion is a bitch and a half. In fact, no, the completion's 2 bitches. It's 2 entire bitches. That's how fucking hard Crash 4 is to beat. Again, we still have speedrunner friends and completionist friends who love the challenge, and they've completed the game 106% more times than they can admit.
Any sane person.
Any sane person. Kevin Fogaragan is fucking insane. I know for a fact across different consoles, he in total has definitely 106% in Crash 4, I think more than 20 times. Like, it's fucking unreal that he knows all of it front to back.
That's crazy.
But I love Crash 4 a lot. And it even recasted a few characters. Like, Scott White's now Crash. Eden Regal is Coco. It's really, really interesting. But I think with Jess doing other stuff and Debbie Derryberry doing other stuff, and, they're getting older and stuff as well, to pass it off to some, other actors and stuff, give them a chance to keep the characters going. Like, it was, I think, a smart choice. Mm-hmm. Debbie will always be my quintessential Coco, but I really like Eden's voice for her because she makes her sound really cute.
Yeah, I also do like the way the characters are portrayed in 4, because I think also I like how it's all tied in with, like, the story of how they're going through these different places. It's kind of like, what was it? I think 4 is supposed to be like time. Is it time travel?
It's multiverse.
I guess it's multiverse, yeah.
I mean, yes, they are going to different time periods because it says in the corner when you hit a new world, like, it's such and such. The year is like this. It's like 1603 or 1613 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, because in Cortex Castle, it's like we're going back to the 90s. We're literally going back. So it's Cortex Castle 1996. I'm like, oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just like the direction they went with for like the story and everything, and how it was kind of like they're doing it off the heels of three's ending and stuff, and you get to see all these characters and how they are so expressive, so animated, and very much like they're going through, they're having an adventure and stuff like that and whatnot.
And two, having that blend again of like, and we haven't seen this in a while, which was such a refresher. That yes, no, there weren't any Radical-esque like references and things here and there. It was much more a straightforward adventure, like kind of Crash 1. I mean, Crash 4 takes a lot of inspiration from Crash 1. Again, me loved it, but like even though they went a little too far with like how difficult it actually was and how much you actually had to collect, but like just the mere like okay, the level design is like kind of evocative of like older Crash. I'm like fuck yeah, I'm all here, I'm all for it. But like
even the references to the previous games still
there was so many because this is like a legacy sequel at this point. It's the 2020s. We're getting into this kind of jog where like all these projects that come out for and these things for these like movies or TV shows or games that are that are part of or rebooting or whatever these like long going series, they'll go back and start referencing like a shitload of stuff because Mario Odyssey does it, Sonic Frontiers does it, this game does it. Requiem does it, even though it's a direct sequel. Well, sort of a direct. Is it really a direct sequel to Village? But I would treat it as a legacy sequel. That's just kind of the thing right now that we're bringing this stuff back and we reference like all kinds of shit. When like the Crash games never did that before. They never they would reference a game or two maybe, but like they would never be like, oh yeah, that was part of our history. We did that. Like no, that's what they do in this game. And it was cool in the story to have this tone of like, oh, it's still comedic and funny and wacky as Crash used to be, but like, again, anything related to Tana, it has this like air of like, no, there's some kind of like sinister shit here. The fact that, like I said in the Iceberg video, the fact that Toys for Bob has made canon in this canon game to the timeline, that like out there in the multiverse, it is a very real possibility that among several different timelines, Tana's happens to be one of them, that Crash and Coco not only don't save the day, but they fucking die. I was like, oh, that's some dark shit. Oh my god. Like, that's crazy. And it's canon! Like, the fact that there are multiple universes out there where they just don't exist because they fucking perished is like, oh my god. That's unreal. But that's why I like Crash 4 so much, because it dares to just do, again, a lot of the same stuff. I remember back then not really wanting to see another game in the formula because I wanted another change again. Not something maybe so drastic like Titans, but something that like Titans gave us a different type of perspective or different type of experience for how we could platform as Crash or do whatever, right? But no, they decided to stay a little bit safe, and they tried to do like the Naughty Dog formula, the hallway platforming, but they added stuff like the different characters, the quantum mass, the wall running and the rail grinding and stuff like that. It really gave you a lot to do, and as far as the platforming went, like there was a lot to work with there, as far as the movesets and stuff went, and it was cool. It was sick. It was just the fact of the matter that they put a bunch of shit in the game for you to do, and a lot of it was kind of hard to even do it in the first place. The fact that a lot of the flashback tapes get way fucking harder to grab the further into the game you go, and the flashback tips themselves, as you play them, the levels get harder as you go through them. Coco's final 2 levels can go fuck themselves. Holy shit. Those last 2 Coco levels are fucking hard. But even like the way they would just hide those bastard crates, like it's just like, oh my god. In one of the, I think it's a real grind, yeah, like the platform of the bonus round, there's like it's resting on like tires, and there's like a crate in the tire, and then you better get the crate before you jump on the bonus platform because it's going to cover the other side, and you can ask yourself out of getting the crates, and it's like, oh my god. And they loved hiding crates out of the frame of the camera. And it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, it didn't need to be that hard. Like, holy fuck. All the gems you have to, 200, no, some 400 something gems, I think, because of the
Regular
inverted
gems and inverted gems.
the inverted gems and stuff.
Yeah.
The fact like it's not like if they give you one gem.
I think if I remember right from Caddy's video, I believe it's 456 gems.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
If they gave you like one, maybe two, or even probably three gems per inverted version, like that would be fine. But I don't know. Like the fact that they still, or even just to get the flashback, or what? No, to get the hidden gem, because the position, the hiding spot changes depending on which version of the level you're playing. Like I don't know. It was a lot. I did a retrospective also on Crash 4, so Twin Sanity and Crash 4 both have retrospectives that I did where I went as in depth as I could about like just why those games were the way they were. The difficulty is definitely something I highlighted about Crash 4. I mean, it's the one thing people remember as far as the gameplay goes. People still revere the art direction and the characters and stuff, but it's the difficulty that's like, if you're playing from beginning to end, it's perfectly fine. Because even then, the platforming gets difficult, like, as you go.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, of course you want in a platformer, but, like, even for Crash standards, it gets hard.
Yeah.
This is coming from me, who loves Crash 1. It gets hard. And last but not least, as we're coming up to the 3 fucking hour mark, we've got Crash Team Rumble, which was very experimental. I loved being able to... I was invited out to Activision to go play it really early, and I will always be, forever grateful for that opportunity. It was a lot of fun. Played for 3 hours straight, and it was sick. And we didn't even understand the fullness of like what we could do as the characters and stuff. It was just... They literally didn't even tutorialize us. They said, here you go, here's the controller, we're going to set you up here, play the game. Just learn it, do the tutorial first, then jump in. We'll get everyone ready, and then we'll just fucking go ham. And it was really fun. Playing with everyone for the beta, and then for the actual when the game dropped itself. You could tell they wanted to sort of do what Beanox did with Nitro Field, but with it being a live service-y sort of with the battle pass, and we're getting a little bit of like the modern game mentality there. Which a Crash multiplayer game hadn't really done before. I mean, Nitro Field was the closest at that point. But, Jesus, it's coming back. Considering all the stuff happening with Activision at the time and the fact that they were, Twisted Bob were pulled off the project and then put back on the project and they revived the game and they shelved the game and they retooled the game entirely. And it's a miracle we even got Rumble at all. And I'm glad we did, because even though a lot of people, again, still wanted to complain and say, oh, this fucking is this, I still think it was a super unique idea. I mean, it was a unique idea. As far as PvP not free to play, but rather like live service stuff, like multiplayer games went, a lot of the influencers and insiders who had connections and do networking, who dropped, like the guys from the Xbox 2 podcast, they were dropping... little hints about that there's a Crash game coming, but they were like, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. And that was sick. That was so like, I remember before we even knew it was called Crash Team Rumble, we were still calling it Wumple League, or actually we barely knew it was even a thing. As we were hearing more about it, and them saying things like, yeah, I've never even seen a game like this before, I'm like, that's kind of interesting, that's enticing. It's like, oh my god, we're going to get like a super cool, unique multiplayer experience that isn't unique just to Crash, but like to gaming as a whole. I want to see another game like Rumble, not even having to do with Crash. Like, I want to see another game tackle the 4v4, like go around and smack each other with cartoonish shit and like just do like little objectives, and each one has their role. Like, that shit was awesome. Having the fucking scores, the what was it? The scores, the
scores, blockers, and
blocker. What was Coco's thing? We haven't played Rumble in a long time. It's been a couple of years at this point.
I don't remember.
Scores, blockers, and something or other.
I guess healers. I don't know.
It's not healers, but
well, I mean,
I'm gonna look it up. Hold on. Keep going. You speak your piece.
I really liked Rumble. I liked the concept for it. I liked the idea of it, and I remember playing the hell out of it when it was still in. Like, when it was still going and stuff, and when they were slowly introducing characters and other characters and stuff, finally getting to see Ripperoo in that art style, seeing other characters as well.
Being able to play as Ripperoo, a lot of those characters outside of racing games and otherly like Crash Bash and otherly spin-offs, being able to play as Engine on foot, Brio on foot, Ripperoo on foot, like to be able to control them hopping around or running around was like awesome because we had never been able to do that before.
Yeah, and it was really cool. I liked the way they I did like the way they did it. I do wish that Activision still gave them the time of day to keep it going because again, like Nitro Fuel, Toys for Bob had more plans for Rumble as it was being done.
Oh yeah, well, season 4 was gonna have what Nina,
Pinstripe, and like
I think Koala Kong or Tiny. It's Tiny.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was Tiny. And yeah, so like Nitro, they're gonna bring in a lot more characters and a lot more stuff and
Booster. That's what it was.
A booster, yeah. And I think with what we got was nice, but of course it's like because of everything that happened between Activision and Toys for Bob, it's like, and I'll say this right here, right now. I think Activision fumbled the bag with them because I think they had something to have them, to keep them going and whatnot.
They were trying to rush them near the end too, which is why
we
only got
very demanding of them and stuff like that. Very like I was saying, rushing.
The 3 seasons only went like once a month, if I remember. They were big seasons, but it was like every month or every 3 months. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, I think it was every.
Because Nitro Field was once every month, but they had enough time. Being honest, I think had enough time to be able to like do what they needed to get every Grand Prix out, and there was like 8 of them or so. For Rumble, it was only like 3 seasons, and the 4th one was coming up, but all we got was some assets for it. Also, it was around the time when Crash 5 was happening, and that got shelved because they actually started to like very, very subtly like bring assets from that as like pieces of concept art and stuff from Crash 5 into season 3 of Rumble. So it was kind of a smart decision to make season 3 about Spyro, so that way they could start like moving those assets over. So to some degree they were used. We just thought it was cool little random. We thought they were cool random little pieces of art for Rumble. No, come to find out, it was for Crash 5. And that's kind of where we sit right now. Like, the game was super unique, super fun. The balancing and being forced to play against random people online for your progression, for getting your, was it Wumpa coins or what was it in Rumble? I forget. But the currency.
Oh, that's
to get stuff.
I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember. The currency to get stuff. Kind of like in Nitro Field, but Nitro Field did it to where you could play with friends or with basically anything you did, offline single player content, or local with people off the same console, or online with friends, or online with randos. You get Wumpa coins, you get your like weekend bonus and stuff. With Rumble, it wasn't like that. You wouldn't get anything reward wise if you played only with friends. In those like private lobbies, you had to go online with random people to earn stuff like the currency and shit to be able to unlock things and buy stuff and what have you, which was very unfortunate. But like I said, I feel that we're lucky that we even got Rumble at all because it was really fun, and it'd be cool to see either some other dev team maybe even revisit the idea with Crash, like a different type of game that's like Rumble or like a sequel to Rumble or some shit, but make it more the way, handle it the way Beanox was doing Nitro Field, where it's like do a lot of, because there's not going to be any longevity. Well, rather, there's not going to be any like real, you can't, once the servers totally shut down, because support's already gone for Rumble, once the servers shut down and whatever, you're not going to be able to play this game. You'll be able to play the tutorial. That's like basically it. You can't play anything else. There is no single player content in this game.
Yeah.
Which really sucks. I was hoping there'd be like a story mode or something, because every Crash game, even a spin-off, has a story mode. Boom Bang has a story mode, Bash has a story mode, all 3 of the fucking racing games have a story mode. So like this one didn't get a story mode. And I think they said they were toying with the idea that eventually they would give it a story mode, but like they never got the time. And so that's just where we sit. Crash 5 got canceled. My throat's acting up again for some reason. And Rumble just kind of ended.
And now Crash is kind of like in like a bit of a limbo state now.
For right now, again, because of all the Activision stuff, whatever's happening with what they're doing and the Microsoft acquisition and all of that nonsense, Crash right now at the time of this recording is a little on the dormant side. But again, this year is the 30th anniversary, so the only glimpse of anything we've seen, again as of this recording, is Beanox had like a 25th anniversary logo for their or banner for their studio for their studio, and there was like a weird little Crash racing like little image that none of us, it uses Crash 4's Crash 4 design. So we have no idea if there's going to be anything for Summer Game Fest, or I mean, again, Activision hasn't even acknowledged the 30th anniversary, so I think everyone's trying to like play it by ear but also play it safe and more subtle and more quiet. Because, again, a lot of these games, especially after, with Insane, they came with teases. A lot of the Crash stuff, it became a thing for Crash to, and the devs and everyone and the publishers behind it to, every release had some kind of a tease. Because Sean Layden did the whole shirt thing, and then we got Skylanders and Insane. We got the trophy and some of the dice and stuff. That the trophy was at the event itself for Game Awards, but, like, the dice were given out to people for Nitro Field, and then the puzzle with Kapunua was for Crash 4. There was a pinata first, then it was the pizza box for Rumble. So I mean, like, it's become kind of custom at this point, to a customary or whatever, to have a tease follow up, like, hey, a game's coming out soon. But I think with how rushed everything kind of was in doing all of that we found out later. I guess right now they've just kind of hard reset on everything. So it's looking like we're just going to have to wait. But it's the 30th anniversary, and that's a huge fucking milestone. So hopefully something comes. But as of right now, we don't know. But that's Crash. We've been going for 3 hours. 3 hours, one for each decade. I think this might probably be the first 3 hour podcast we put up. I guess it had to be on Crash, and the second to last podcast of the channel. It's crazy.
I feel like this also highlights our history with Crash and how you're more passionate about Crash than I am. But even then, when with me playing the games as well, like,
because I will play these games nonstop. I don't need a reason. If you just give me a game for Crash, I'll play it.
Yeah, and so it's like,
unless it's Boom Bang, but anyway.
But yeah, no, I do like, there are the Crash games that I do like, and there are the ones that I don't, and the ones that are kind of like, yeah, it's fine and whatnot. But seeing how Crash has gone on this fucking weird ass, wonky ass journey.
The fact that Crash has gone on for this long, I already was like, yeah. It was a surprise to me that he made it to his 20th and that he didn't become a dormant ass series that like he did for a while. We just thought it was going to stay that way. We had no real reason to believe, as much as we wanted him to come back during the hiatus, so that the early to mid 2010s, we didn't have any reason to believe it. He was supposed to be in PS All Stars. That didn't happen.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's right,
attempts to bring him back, were there. He was going to get a reboot with Crash Landed.
Yeah,
that got canceled. Yeah, so I mean,
there were attempts to bring Crash back in some form of fashion, but
in the 2010s,
for one reason or another, it just never did. Like there was
also Activision being weird because for PS All Stars they wanted a lot of money for him.
Yeah, there was that, and like I said, there was Crash Landed. There was also there was also going to be some other Crash racing game as well, where they really...
Those were made in tandem. Yeah, CTR 2010 and Crash Landed were in the same style, I think by the same devs, which I think was Radical, if I remember right, actually. I think it was Radical. I can't remember. But, it's... that some of that stuff, is unfortunate. And a lot of it can be attributed to kind of greed and just trying to, make money off Crash. Because some of the same can be said for Spyro. Like, again, Universal was... It's because of Universal that we have as much lore and games and characters as we do, and how it's gone on for this long, because they were the ones to, like, keep it going. Even though Naughty Dog themselves would have rather not have kept Crash going, to kind of keep that very iconic image of him from back in the PS1 days intact forever. and kind of keep him again in like PS1 land. Didn't happen, and so it's kind of usually the publisher, but with that division, going through whatever it's going through right now, and hopefully with these IP, and now that Microsoft owns Activision, so kind of therefore Microsoft owns Crash and Spyro, which is how we're believing that Toys for Bob is kind of going around Activision since they went indie to be able to still do what we believe is a new Spyro game. With Microsoft kind of helping with like the budget and stuff, and giving them the actual fucking time to develop these games and do whatever. So hopefully if Crash is going through the same thing, it's been 3 years at the time of this recording since Rumble kind of, came and went. So if I remember right, Rumble came out in 2023, right?
I believe so, yes.
I think it ended right around early 2024, if I remember correctly. A little into 2024. So it's been technically about 2-ish years.
Yeah.
If I remember. Which I might not be remembering right, but I think that's how it goes. So we don't know what's happening with Crash right now. We'll see. If anything does happen with Crash or Spyro, at some point in the future, then I would like to do a continuation podcast of this kind of fashion on Destination Mark. We'll see where plans go with that, but I will definitely stop everything to talk about a new Crash or a new Spyro.
Yeah, and I think me personally, I do hope that Crash 5 does get revitalized in some form of fashion, because I think
it will be cool.
Because with what they had shown off, with what they were what they had
it
planned
fucking awesome.
to do with it. I think it would have been a very, very interesting game, and it's such a damn shame that it got shelved and stuff. But maybe, hopefully, if whatever goes on is resolved and whatnot, I hope that maybe they can revitalize it. Maybe like whether they change it up or keep it kind of the same. I just would like to see it come back in some form of fashion and have it be a full fucking game, because I think that it would be really cool to explore what they wanted to explore in that game.
Well, I think that's it. My throat is shot and I need to eat. I'm getting hungry.
I'm feeling hungry too.
Oh, all right. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you. We do have chapters, so tune in next time, and we will talk about not Crash. I've talked about this fucking rat for long enough.
This fucking rat.
This rat.